On the dot. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Select Board meeting of March 15th, 2022. Tonight we are it's a reorganizational meeting for the town of Rutland, which is why I'm opening up the meeting. In just a moment, we will take nominations for chair for the year. But before we do, I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's go. More of the sports stuff. I don't really know what that does.
Right. I welcome everyone that's here in person and online. There's several members online. The first order of business, I would like to ask if there are any nominations for chair. I see Sharon's hand up.
I nominate Don Chaffee.
And
I'll second that nomination.
I hear a second for Sharon. I have Mary's hand up.
I nominate Joe DiNardo.
I would respectfully decline the position due to my personal situation here at home. Thank you.
Okay, I have a second for Don Chaffee. I would like to, all those in favor?
I'll nominate. I got one more nomination. I'll nominate Mary Ashcroft.
We have to
We
do
have
this
we have
first.
a second of nomination right now. We have to move forward in that. So all those in favor of Don Chaffee as chair, say aye.
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 All those in opposed, say nay.
No.
Nay.
So there's 3-2, which means I believe Don is the chair of the town. So I am going to
Thank you.
move it over to Don.
Well, I'll defer to you to do the clerk.
Oh,
I
okay.
nominate Joe DiNardo for clerk.
Sharon nominates Joe for clerk. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that nomination.
Don seconds that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
right.
All those opposed? Joe, looks like you're our clerk. All right, so Don and Joe, I am going to move my seat and allow Don to open up the meeting.
Thank you, Kari. First of all, it's a little overwhelming. I'd like to thank my fellow board members for your vote of confidence in me. There's two things that I would like to do right off the bat, because you're not going to hear a heck of a lot from me. Because I intend, without a vote, I just would like you to know that I intend to operate under Robert's Rules of Order for small groups. I don't think it takes a vote. I just intend to operate that way unless there's some objection from the board, which means I won't be making motions and I won't be voting on motions unless it's to make a tie or break a tie. The first order of business would be, I would like to personally congratulate you, Bert, on your election.
Thank you, Don.
And I would also like to announce you have already achieved some kind of a landmark in the town of Rutland. But you'll have to take second fiddle to Josh Terenzini, who is the youngest member of the Board of Selectmen at 21.
Mhm.
But you are in firm second place. So wear that with pride.
For sure.
And the next thing I would like to do is offer my sincere congratulations to Mary Ashcroft for her leadership of this board during the last year, which has been, to say the least, very challenging. And Mary, you did an admirable job. And on behalf of the town, I thank you for that leadership. And I intend,
May I be heard?
you can be heard. Yes.
Well, if I was going to decline as chair, if I had been, and I appreciate the nomination. The reason is because I have become a flashpoint, and I understand that. Between Facebook and rumors and innuendos, I was labeled as being against some things that I was not, and I could not set the record straight. So, and I was losing friendships, and the town was losing focus. Don, congratulations on being chair, but you have a divided board and you have a lot of work to get through. I wish you the best. I wish you the best. And I wish the town the best.
Well, I can use your wishes and I can also use your support. I think the town will move forward if the board chooses to act as a unit. And we always appreciate discussion, and we should appreciate disagreement as well, because that's what dialogue is. As long as we adhere to the policy that the majority rules, then I'm in favor of that, because that's true democracy, and that's the way I intend to operate. I will be fair with all board members. And I certainly will appreciate,
You're like Don.
I certainly will appreciate your help, Mary, because of your vast experience and your knowledge to this board and to the town. And I certainly appreciate the new ideas that Kurt may bring to this board, fresh and young ideas. So with that, let's get on with the meeting. And also a happy early St. Patrick's Day, since we won't be meeting until 2 weeks, and St. Patrick's Day is Thursday, and on Thursday we'll all be Irish, of course. So happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. And I welcome all of you that are online by Zoom to the meeting. The orders have been signed. The only one that needs to sign is Joe. When you get a chance, Joe, come in. The first order of business will be the approval of the minutes of February 28th.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes of the 28th. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
One abstention, and the minutes are approved. Where are those?
If you have, oh, here, pink folder. Or check and see if it's not in there, then just circulate your own copy.
I don't think they're in here. No, I'll circulate my own copy. So.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't sign it, Don.
That's what I gave it to
I
you
was,
for.
I know.
Any member of the public who's not on the agenda wishes to speak. I don't have the little computer in front of me, so Bill, if you would acknowledge any hands that may be up from the virtual meeting. Anyone here in the select board that would like to speak? Yes, sir.
I think I'm first on the agenda for
establish a testing. So the state of Vermont wants to establish a testing site and a distribution center for
You can
antigens.
sit and you'll,
For
we'd
antigen-
like to get you on
Sure.
the tape there, so,
Yep, that's
so
fine.
that everybody can hear you.
All right. My name is Bill Cotel. The state of Vermont is looking to establish a testing site here in Rutland Town and also a distribution center for antigen tests and take-home PCR tests. And I was asked to find a location that might be suitable for that site. I talked with Mary Ashcroft. She asked me to come down today and talk to you folks about possibly using the meeting room as a center for that.
The downstairs meeting room?
Yes.
John. Is that acceptable, Bill? Is the room outfitted so that we can do that?
It can be that was less the question than some of the timing on the request. So it's the first thing in your packet was the timing. The Sunday was and the number of days overall. So that's why I asked him to come in to talk with you guys directly.
What number is that in the packet, Bill?
It's the first one's A. Not those.
Oh,
I'd like to introduce Dave Hernandez. He's with CIC Health is the company that is contracted by the state for testing. And he'll be able to fill in any other details of questions that you might have.
what, do you have the dates or do you have the times?
Yep, we have all the dates and times. Dave, you want to weigh in?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Name is David Hernandez with CIC Health Field Operations Lead. As Bill shared, we're contracted with the state in kind of operating the public testing. Speaking with Bill and what we've done at other areas across the state, ideally what we're looking to ensure that we reach the community of Rutland is by offering 2 to 3 days of distribution and testing. Distribution specifically, speaking originally, I think there is value in having a weekend day, which is, I think, the nature of the request for us to be in attendance today. So kind of thinking through with Bill there, we originally were considering a Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday operation for distribution of antigen and lamp test for the community. But we're happy to kind of hear feedback, answer any questions, and adjust accordingly. But what we really want to make sure is that we provide this service to the town of Rutland and its members.
So, Bill,
The Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday is not really an issue for us. That's business hours, but the Sunday, there's nobody here to open and close the building. And our meeting room policy says there'll be a town representative or town employee here while the building's occupied. And then there's the reimbursement rate for that as well. So I'm not sure if anybody's willing to commit to every Sunday to be here for 6 hours to be that person.
are there any alternatives to your Sunday proposal?
If Sundays are an issue, I'm sure that we can move to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday if there's no exception, if Dave doesn't have an issue with those days. We were just looking for a weekend because there aren't a lot of sites open on Sundays and throughout the state. So we were hoping to do that, and the demand has been there for Sunday testing.
Well, I can see where Sunday would be a convenience issue, so because people are off, but Monday, Wednesday, and Friday would work, right? Because Tuesdays are our select board meetings, obviously, so.
I
Mary?
think we close at 2 on Fridays.
Friday we do.
Yeah.
So that would present a problem on Friday for shortened hours.
Close at 2.
Okay. Well, if 2:00 is when you're closing, then we can adapt. Dave, any issues with that?
No, there's no opposition here. I think the priority here is to make sure we can have a area to distribute to the community there. So currently we are offering PCR testing in conjunction with Rutland Regional Medical. But for point of distribution and increasing access across the board, happy to work and partner with the town here and work around what's available and what we can achieve.
Thank you, Dave. Now, if you could give me the hours again, so.
Sure, it's-
On the mic for,
Yep,
so it would be
10,
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, what are the hours?
So Monday and Wednesday would be 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And Friday would be 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Well, just to clarify, if I may, is 2 p.m. the hour in which the doors are closed in the building?
Yes.
Pretty much,
Alright.
yes.
Okay. So what I would move to recommend, Bill Cotel, is maybe a 1:30,
Sure.
just to
Yep, make sure they're
allow.
out of it.
Yep.
That makes sense.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Oh, one more, if I might.
Yeah, Mary?
This appears open-ended.
How many weeks?
What's your timeline here through the month of?
Yeah. So at the moment, this distribution plan is through the month of May. At the very least, the conversations with the state of Vermont continues to evolve. But regarding public testing in our operation, we're still talking through the month of May to reevaluate as we get closer to that date. And then we're happy to kind of revisit and introduce this conversation again with the town of Rutland to see if we continue past that, if that pleases the board.
Okay.
Mary?
I would move approval of this request for the downstairs meeting room through the beginning next week, I would assume, through the month of May, Monday and Wednesdays from 10 to 4 and Fridays from 10 to 1:30.
Motion been made.
Second.
Seconded by Sharon. Discussion. Is there any more board discussion? Joe, you have any questions?
No, Mary asked the question that I was going to ask, so I'm good, thank you.
Good. Sharon?
No, I have one question. When you're looking at people that are working, is it at all possible that one of those days, instead of doing the 10 a.m. to 1:30, that you did something later in the evening? Although then we're closed then too,
Right.
so it doesn't
We're
make
more than
any
happy
sense.
to.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Sorry about that.
I'd just like to ask you what kind of advertising are you, is the state going to do for this program?
Dave has that information.
Dave?
So today's in the governor press conference earlier today, the announcement was made that this endeavor, this project is starting at a couple of our sites starting tomorrow. So using the current TVRS registration system is where we hope to include this operation as well. At the moment, the only advertisement, if you will, is today's press release in the press conference and in spoken as well in written form. And then it'll be published on the Department of Health website as well.
Well, we have the Rutland Herald here, so I'm confident that they may put this in, so that we get broad distribution there. And also, I would encourage you have the town's website. I would encourage you to give Bill a call, our administrator. We can put this up on our site as well.
Absolutely.
Help
We're
you out a
happy
little bit. And thank you very much. Are there any other questions of the gentleman? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
You opposed, Joe?
No,
Oh, no,
you have to
said
wait
aye.
a little bit. It takes longer for me to get there.
We got a delay, yes. Well, but the motion passes. There's also been a delay in my congratulations, Joe, and I'm sorry I left you out with that tough fight that you had for reelection, and I want to congratulate you as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck with the program.
Thank you. Is there a possibility I can see the meeting room now?
I'll
There's a-
take them down, if you don't mind.
You mind? Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
We wanted to see the room, to see the size, I guess.
Oh, okay. yeah.
I would assume.
Okay. Do we usually have department head reports ahead of the new business?
Yeah, Bill changed the agenda up.
What did you do that for, Bill? Mr. You,
There's a lot of stuff for discussion that there were people that were here that we kind of pushed off the last time. So I was trying to balance it out a little bit, see how it works.
okay, I'll give you that.
Pretty purple.
We go to the second item, board to review the current preferred vendor list, and you have that in your packet. I think it's, where is that? B, number B, letter B.
B.
You've had a chance to look it over. Does any board member have a question on the preferred vendor list?
I would move the approval of the preferred vendor list as printed.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for approval of the vendor list as printed.
I do have a question.
Any question? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Bill, has this been circulated among department heads so that we could add anyone that we might have missed on the last list?
It was not. I do update it as we go along.
Okay.
And it is posted around the building, but it was not given to the department head specifically, no.
Okay, this list, if we go with the preferred vendor, that means we don't have to follow our bid process, so.
Mhm.
Okay,
I had a question on two vendors that I just didn't recognize. The KSA built. I'm just curious of what they do for us.
is that the rec?
You want me to answer that?
Yep.
They are, we're in the process of redoing the trail or adding trails at Northwood Park, and
Mhm.
that is their specialty.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. And then Sam Frank was the one other one that was.
They don't exist anymore. And that was where we used to get all of our candy and food for the pool and for recreation activities, but I don't think Sam Frank as a candy wholesaler exists anymore.
No cigars, right?
That would not be a good thing. No, we don't.
No.
So they could be, unless somebody else uses them for something else that I don't know about. They don't do that anymore, correct? I think they're out of that business.
No, I think they are
They're
out of that
business.
business, yeah.
Yeah, they are out of
All
business.
right, so I would, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Amend my motion to remove Sam Frank because they're no longer doing business.
Second.
Second, removed. Okay. Any more questions about any of the vendors? Hearing none. All those in favor of the amended motion to approve the list with Sam Frank removed, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
And approved unanimously. Well, for all. Go to C, board to review town officials list and discuss filling any needed positions by appointment. I would encourage all appointees that are on that list to contact me prior to the next meeting, either by phone or personally, or by leaving a note on my desk, and we'll take that up at our next meeting. Not prepared to do that now because I don't think we've heard from everyone on the list. At least I haven't. So I want to give everyone a chance. And if you're declining the position, to let us know so that we know there's an opening. Everyone okay with that? So that'll be on the agenda, Bill, for next meeting. Item D, board to discuss next steps to fill a vacant road commissioner position. You have in your packet both boilerplate and also the town's kind of response to that, which would be the
What is it?
letter D. And Joe, would you like to talk to this, please? Well, for Sharon.
Joe's better at it. than
Joe
I
do
am.
that?
Well, I can talk with the best of them, I guess. So now that the voters have approved the request to appoint a road commissioner, we need to come up with we had a set of specifications, I believe, when we were kind of in limbo there since last fall. So I think we need to review these and get them down to a little more specifics now that we know that we can hire someone. And also, as I tried to get across to the folks at the town meeting 2 weeks ago, this position is basically going to be an open-ended position. We will hire someone. I think it would be in our best interest to have a minimum amount of time that this individual would be hired for, and there is no maximum. So hopefully everybody understands that we are trying to get the best possible candidates to apply for the job, and we want them to know that, you know, if they're selected, they will have a job with Rutland Town for the foreseeable future, unless for some reason what they tell us in their resume and their interview doesn't pan out in how they turn out to be. So probably just as soon as we know what Don chooses for committee assignments, it would be in our best interest for Highway to get together, and we will come up with a plan for putting this out to advertise and see if we can get someone on board as soon as possible.
So, Joe, have you've met and approved the Town of Rutland Road Commissioner job description as it's written here?
No, this is not filled in. No, this was not filled in.
What do you mean?
This is the template.
No, I'm not talking about the template. I'm talking about the Town of Rutland Road Commissioner job description.
Okay.
That's the second.
Yeah,
That's the one that Byron wrote up for us. That's the one that
Oh,
Byron wrote.
okay.
before he
Well,
left.
that's
Yep,
that.
that's
Did you,
that's what we've been going by. Yeah.
did you have input into this, Joe, or did Byron just submit this?
I think Byron submitted it. You know, we were back last fall. I think we did review it and looked at it. We did put out an advertisement. I don't remember, Bill, is this what we posted, or did we have something different?
That is what was posted.
That is
Okay,
what we,
I think we,
Need to be removed.
Yeah.
two of them. There's two, because it's I believe there's two changes that we would need to make in that.
yeah. So that's why I think we should revisit it and make sure that we have everything we want in there, and, you know, get this, you know, up to speed and then get it out there. And the other thing that always comes up is where to advertise this. There are some on-site places that you can advertise. We always have difficulty sometimes getting contractors to bid on jobs and do stuff. So we need to make sure we get the word out. So maybe somebody that's looking for a career change would like to come and work for the town of Rutland.
Mary, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I would move that we send the template along with the current job description to the highway committee and have them kind of do a deeper dig and go through and fill in the blanks. And I guess that needs a second, sorry.
I'll second that.
Thanks.
Motion made and seconded to refer this job description back to the highway committee for their further perusal. Any discussion on that by the highway committee members? Hearing none.
Well-
Oh,
No, just one suggestion. Consider, although without making any pro or con, consider having a probationary period. So we are able to review the performance of the highway commissioner and then make the job continuing after that, after the successful probationary
I
period.
think there's a probationary period in here, but I went over it rather quickly, as most of us do, but I think there's a probationary. But anyway, that's a good
Can't remember which
suggestion.
one it was in.
You got that suggestion, Joe, so any other comments? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and that will be reported back next meeting because time is of the essence in this particular matter. So. Very good. Go to E, board to review proposed paving project bid details. And I don't know, want to do that now? We might as well take let's take the acting road commissioner's report now. Because this will be it probably. If you have any other stuff,
Whole list.
yeah, you can add to it if you wish. And we'll kill two birds with one stone here. Go ahead, Walt.
Okay.
It's yours.
This paving is what Joe, Bill, Jason and I and Mike Mullen put together. This is just an estimate. But this, with oil prices and everything the way they are, it could do anything. But you've got all the information in front of you. This is just what we come up with, so.
What is this one here? Number is this on here?
Is it E you're looking for?
Yeah. That's E. That's a pretty thick one.
This here is the
Okay,
main.
is that on here? Down.
Yeah.
It's that one we're looking, oh yeah, it's right there at the back,
Yeah.
second from the back.
So everyone has this in their packet. Do you have any questions of the road commissioner?
This is what the bidders would go on. Everybody would have that sheet except for the estimated cost.
Okay.
My one only suggestion would be the shim and overlay on East Pittsford Road. It would change around the paving list, but I do believe that should be a reclaim.
We've got two paving contractors that said no.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going by.
Yep.
I said, unless there's deep wheel ruts, you're wasting your money.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get a lot of reflective cracking from the cracks that are already there that are gonna come up through the new shim. I think that'll definitely cut down on the lifespan of that shim.
I'm just going by what,
That's 26 on East Pittsford Road?
Yep.
Kurt?
Yep, that's just my recommendation. Definitely a reclaim, which is bull magging all the way to the road base, grade with new base and a top coat, would definitely help on a high travel road like that for sure. But that's my one suggestion. That's it.
What's the difference in cost on that?
Lot.
$2 a square yard for reclaim.
Both people that, both pavers didn't recommend that.
Yeah. Well, we'll take another look at it.
Yeah, I
But
think that's,
the thing is, if you got
send it back to committee.
yeah, well, the committee's gonna have to look at it. Once we get the committees established, committees have to go to look at and look at the cost because
It's just, I
The
would hate
wording-
to see piling money into the road, having it not last.
Somebody's trying to.
yes, Joe?
Well, one of the things is, I understand Kurt's concerns about that, but, we did have it looked at by folks that, do the, this for, that's their job description. And there's not only the additional, I think, costs that go along with reclaiming, there's also a lot more apron work, and there's a lot of other stuff that goes along with doing that, you can't just look at a couple of articles so that you could really drive the cost up. We're doing this on our best recommendations from folks in the business. So I think, we could go with what we have here, and I do believe we'll be okay.
Other comments?
I think we should move to put this out to bid, as, presented to us by Walt and Jason, and, follow the time schedule that we do have here, and I think we'll be okay. One of the things that's going to affect this is, the fuel prices. They're going to drive liquid asphalt up, and the recommendation that we've had, from anyone we've talked to is sooner rather than later to get started on this, and try not to drag it out too long. The town line road, we're handcuffed there because of the culvert work and the timeline for that. But probably as soon as we can get this paving underway, when weather permits, may ensure us coming in pretty close to these estimated costs.
Is that in the form of a motion, Joe?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'll second it because I'm on that committee, but I also, I thank you for at least explaining that to us,
Yep, for
because
sure.
this girl doesn't know much about roads. So hopefully, Kurt, it's not going to be me on the road
Yeah.
the next time.
Mary, question?
Question for the highway committee. Is it possible to bid this one road in the alternative? So we get bids both for what's on the proposal from the highway folks and a second bid to encompass what Kurt is proposing?
Yeah, that would be fine. You know, they could give us, you know, a bid for just the shim and overlay, and then a bid for doing the reclaim and repaving plus the apron work. But we would have to just modify we'd have to modify the bid proposal to meet that. And if the board would be okay with that being done and not waiting 2 weeks to see it again,
Yeah.
then we could move forward with it.
Okay, so would you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Yes.
I'll second.
Second?
Yeah.
Okay, then the motion now is to put the bids out with the change being 26A and B, A being the proposal for the shim and B being a proposal for a reclaim.
So that we know both.
Yeah, so all in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? There you go. So Bill, you want to get that ready and we'll ship it out immediately as soon as possible. Let's see. So let's say going to F on our agenda, board to review adoption 2022 Public Works Mutual Aid Agreement. Letter F in your packet.
I would move its approval.
It's pretty much boilerplate, and Mary has moved for approval of the request, seconded by Sharon. Discussion. Anybody want to talk about?
Well, we do have to fill in the blanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe we've entered into this before, if I'm not mistaken. This looks familiar.
Yeah, we did, Joe.
Yep.
Is this like, I can't see how long these agreements last. Is it in here somewhere? Is it every year?
It's annual.
Yeah. This one's
Annual,
annual.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I'm pretty sure that Byron was the one that promoted this when it first came out, that this would be in our best interest.
So we need official contact information. I would presume that it'll be the same as previous agreements. Bill, you have the previous agreements.
It's the same, yes.
So
Is it?
who's the primary aiding official?
Before it was Byron,
So then that,
primary, and I think I was the second, I would think I was the alternate.
yep, pardon me,
I think Byron was the primary and I was the alternate.
okay, so everyone comfortable with Walt being the primary and you being the alternate again? No objection? What's the requesting official and alternate? Same?
Bill?
Sorry, the alternate is the primary is, there's the aiding one. So if they ask for something, that's the aiding one who gets called first, who gets called second.
Yep.
And then if we need something, who calls first, who calls second.
Same day, same,
Same thing, yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So then you'd be the primary requesting and Bill would be the alternate. We all set with that. And there's one signature, when authorize me to sign on behalf of the town.
So move.
So the motion's been made and seconded to approve this. We'll fill in the appropriate information on the back page. And I'll sign on behalf of the town today. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Any opposed? That's not even the one, that's my,
If it's easier, if you want to just sign that signature line, we'll fill in the rest of
all
it.
right, just
That's,
rip them off.
Yeah.
Okay, that's done. Item G, board to discuss payments for public safety building postcards and signs.
there's three things on the desk on the side there for Walt and Jason, if you want to take care of those while they're
Here?
here. Yeah. That has zone list. 2, 3, and 4. List right there.
Is it on the desk packet?
Yep. That was all the stuff that came in from Friday till today.
Sidewalk bills, grant agreement.
Yep.
Vote from McLaughlin.
There's the 2, 3, and 4 are to go over with Walt and Jason. Part of the highway discussion.
Oh, well, we're talking about something else here.
Right. Even if you can keep going if you want to, but that none of the rest of the new business stuff applies to them. That was it.
Oh, so in other words, to finish up their report.
If you want to,
Okay,
yes.
good. Sorry about that. Thanks for keeping me straight. I'm gonna need that here as I transition. So go ahead.
The chipper, everybody knows about the chipper, the
Does
appraiser.
everybody know about the chipper? I don't think the whole world knows about the chipper, but Joe, would you give an update on the chipper or would you rather Walt do that?
Well, Walt can do it. He was right there in the front seat, so we'll let him talk.
Why don't you tell us the story of the chipper?
We got hit. It ripped the axle off the chipper. The insurance appraiser is coming tomorrow to look at the chipper and the truck. The truck was minimal damage, but the chipper, you saw the chipper and
I did.
Yeah, my husband said it's
well, ripped the axle off, the fender
Wow.
off, the toolbox, and
you think they'll have to replace the whole thing?
I don't know. We'll see what the appraiser says. Yeah.
Right,
There
right.
was fairly substantial damage to the undercarriage, the axle, whatever. Who investigated the accident?
It was the
Officer Flaccus.
Officer Placus? What,
I don't think-
were there any citations?
I'm not sure at this point in time.
Okay.
I think, somebody, not a really good driver, I'll put it that way.
Okay,
Not in this side room over here.
yeah. Well,
it wasn't me.
It was not Mary.
fortunately, were you in the opposite seat?
Yes, I was driving.
he was driving.
Fortunately, neither one of these two very valuable individuals for the town have even a mark on them, which is a good thing. And if you saw the amount of damage that was done, you would say that's a good thing. So I'm happy you guys are okay. Could have been worse.
Mary.
Yeah, Mary?
Oh, Joey was going to say something.
Yeah, I had a question. Because if I'm correct here, we share the chipper with the town of Mendon. Walt, did you let them know about this? I'm sure you probably did. And the other thing is, I glad that you guys had the old truck and not the new truck.
Correct. Yes, I've talked to Billy probably 3 times since it happened. And I'll update him tomorrow after the appraiser's been here.
Well, you probably
Okay,
won't even
thanks for doing
get
that.
it from the appraiser.
I don't know.
Well, I'm just been dealing with the appraisers.
Oh, yeah, you have.
Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, just we were not at fault, correct? Okay.
Correct.
And thank you. And looks like, well, the League of Cities and Towns were the ones who sent the investigator, the appraiser.
They're sending the appraiser.
Okay.
They'll just go after the other insurance.
Okay,
is
very
what
good. Thank
She
you.
told me yesterday.
Good. So,
You have a letter here that Billy wrote up about this tree on Connor Drive.
that is 2.
We've been trying to take care of this for years.
You
So
all
do we
have the
need to
letter.
make a motion to send it out, or what we need to do?
I guess if everyone's read it, anybody have any questions on it first before we take any motions? Everybody comfortable with the letter?
I just saw it, so hold on
Yeah,
just a second.
Let's take a minute to read it.
I don't see it in my book. Thanks, Walt. Appreciate it.
Okay,
We've had this situation before on other corners and other developments, and sometimes we get full cooperation, other times we don't, but it's a safety necessity. Usually the homeowners will cooperate.
This tree appears to be out of the right of way. So that makes it a little more difficult.
Well, it's on homeowners' property. Even the branches,
The branches are in the right of way.
Well,
You gotta go,
yeah, there's your problem.
And they haven't got back to you at all?
Bill hasn't been able to, he tried calling them and apparently the
Never answered
phone
yet.
is.
I think I'm gonna-
Sorry.
Gary, Joe
What's,
picked up his copies, those things, they're on the other desk.
Oh,
that must be over
oh.
So what's your pleasure?
About Wells.
So if we send them a registered letter, at least we know they got it.
So this letter would be registered.
I mean, I can, what we usually, if we send them like delivery confirmation, like certified, we usually send 2 copies, one certified and one regular mail. So that's fine.
Yeah, I just think we should.
Yep.
That way we have a thing that says they got it.
What's your pleasure, board? Mary?
I don't need to- Yeah. A suggestion, because I've been a homeowner in a similar position. Offer to trim all of the branches so it doesn't look like a chop job on just the roadside. And okay, I'll just leave it at that. It's a little more neighborly to do it that way.
Right.
So
You
that's
don't want it trimmed, Mary, you don't want it trimmed like the power company has the trees, they cut the centers out of them and let the power lines go through.
Yeah, it kind of irritates me, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or like they,
I can agree with that 100%.
or like they
So
did,
we would just try to make it look nice.
or like they did Sam Garusso's down in the city where they hacked them right down to the ground and that was their trim. So it's understood how you're going to trim the trees, right? You don't have to, but explain it. You don't mean to put that in the letter, do you? That's just an understanding.
Well, I don't think it would hurt to say,
We'll work with you
we'll
on,
work with you so
trimmings,
that we're not
yeah.
offending anybody.
Right.
Better to be,
Yeah.
reach out to people with sugar than
That's right.
vinegar.
That's right.
I know Bruce, so if you get any problems, just let me know.
Okay.
He's got a piece of my furniture up there. He's supposed to be refinishing.
And he's not gonna trim that, so.
Better not.
Good. So what's the motion? To send the letter with the modifications.
So moved.
Seconded by Sharon. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So,
You gotta give him a minute.
you go.
You gotta. Or Joey's gonna be voting against everything tonight.
I'm not hearing any nays. He doesn't
You leave Joey alone.
have any horses up there, so I ain't gonna hear any nays there either. So you all set, Bill, with that? Okay, good. With very good. Now, what are you guys, you got still one more?
Bill give us this whole list.
Oh, you got a whole list.
The sidewalk plowing, we've been getting bills,
We in for breakfast or what?
been getting bills from the city for sidewalk plowing. Jason talked to Dave Sears this afternoon.
Yeah, and he's willing to allow us to go back and do the plowing ourselves. He says that it was the price was real generous on what the price is now. And he was going to, with the gas prices and everything else going up, he wanted to discuss it, but he didn't know where we stood if we were able to go ahead
And take it
And-
over.
take it over.
Yeah, I think that's,
Well, what's the mileage and what are the roads? What's the routes? How much is we talking
that's the
about?
sidewalks.
It's just the sidewalks
Just the sidewalks.
Our sidewalks?
Our sidewalks.
Which they
from U-Haul down to basically where the mall is and turn around, come back up to Aldi's.
No, we do the school sidewalk ourselves anyway.
Yeah, we do the school.
Yeah, but they're
So it's
just
just that
talking about
one,
that
just the one by U-Haul?
Yep.
Okay, so what's,
They do the one by U-Haul now,
yeah,
and this is to take over Route 7 down to the mall and back.
So basically in front of Alderman's.
Yep.
Then turn around, come back past.
Yeah, because it doesn't
99
go all the
and
way down to the mall,
Aldi's.
does it?
what's your
I don't think that
recommendation?
sidewalk goes that
Just
far.
shy, I think, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
But if our guys can do it,
Yeah, exactly.
See, we haven't been billed for it before, for I don't know how many years. Then all of a sudden this year,
Yeah, Mary?
Was that a condition of an Act 250 permit for the
something to
Zamaya
do with the
Mall?
mall. Yes.
Yeah. So we should probably just double check and make sure we know what the requirement is on that before we end up paying or saying we're not going to pay, because I'm not sure. I can't remember.
well, why
Yeah,
would we
that-
pay if we're not gonna, if the city's not gonna do it?
Well, we gotta pay
Well-
them for this year, right? They sent a bill for this year?
Every
We've
storm.
got copies of them on the
Got-
desk, Don.
Yeah.
There are copies on the desk.
It's possible that if that was a requirement of the Act 250 permit, and I don't know if it was without end, forever and ever, or it had a certain time, that may be why we weren't getting billed for it, because the city was required to maintain it. And maybe that's come to an end. I think this is something that, to Mary's point, we need to find out what the terms of, it seems as though I remember hearing about this for years, about plowing that section of road, and the city did it. And I did believe it was tied to the Diamond Run Mall. Maybe the city feels that now they can charge us, or maybe there's something in there. I do believe that we should contact the city treasurer and maybe try to get some clarification on this before we pay it. If we owe it, we'll pay it. But if there, and I don't know if there was a limitation on how long they needed to do it, but I think it's not a tremendous amount of money, but we should have answers. And then, maybe we can't even go ahead and plow it ourselves if it's part of their agreement through Act 250. So there could be some stickiness here.
I agree, Joe. And Kari, would you make that contact with the city treasurer?
I can give her a call.
See if you can find out.
Well, I think we might be better off with what Mary said, is contacting and find out the Act 250.
Well,
Because,
yeah, but the treasurer may know that, so then it would save us a call if she, if you can cut it off with the treasurer, then they may tell you that they were required to do it under 250, and they may,
yeah, but
she may
isn't
be
it
able
better
to,
to get it out of the horse's mouth?
It
Which
may,
is,
it may not hurt to research it on our end also.
yeah.
Sure.
Well, it wouldn't hurt. Bill, you can call a 250 commission or administrator.
On the list.
Yeah.
Don,
Yes,
can I shed a little light on that for you?
certainly you can.
Okay, the city, there is not an Act 250 requirement there. There is a separate agreement between the Zamias Mall and the city. And that agreement is not in the Act 250 permit, but is referenced in the permit. And I've never been able to get a copy of that agreement between the mall and the city. But that's why the city started plowing the sidewalk on the south end of town, is because of that agreement with the Zamias Mall. And now
Okay,
that,
so
and now
thank
that
you,
the
Byron. I appreciate that. So Kari, that puts it back in your corner, because then we have to find out why, if there was an agreement and we didn't get Bill now, why we are. So that agreement is either extinguished or it's still in effect. And if it's still, maybe she can provide a copy of that agreement.
Don, we've been billed for years. Marshall was billed for years. I mean, it's not, this is nothing new. Every time the city plows the South Street, they send us a bill.
I thought you said we didn't get Bill.
It's not in the budget.
There's $500 in the budget for that sidewalk plowing, I believe.
That's correct, Joe.
South end, it says $500 south end plowing. These bills here are 230, about 460 and 690. So that's significantly more than the 500, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think we should pay for it any longer. If there's nothing that binds us to paying for it and the city doing it, we should just do it ourselves.
I would kind of agree.
Yeah.
And
But we need to, we may have to pay these 3 invoices that we had. I just don't want to incur the, any additional interest that they have listed on here, the 1% per month. If I don't know, if we owe it, we owe it, let's pay it and move forward and try to, they can curtail their services. I mean, if it's not, like Byron said, if it's not part of the Act 250, but it's attached to it, and they seem to, I know in years past, Byron has tried to get to the bottom of this, and we never did see what exactly it said. So, and I don't know if there's anybody in the city operations that's running things that even knows what's going on.
so if we look into it and then turn around and tell them thank you, but no thank you anymore, if we're not bound to do it, our guys can do it, then why are we paying them?
Yeah, I mean, if they're not doing it for free and we have to pay to have them do it, then we'll do it and we don't need to pay anybody.
I agree, Joe.
yeah, that still leaves these 3 invoices. So, and you mentioned,
I
Joe,
think in terms of these invoices, that they did the service and they invoiced us for the service like they have in the past, and I think we owe them for
We
their
owe 'em the money.
service.
yeah.
Is that a motion?
Want to make a motion,
Second.
Joe?
I think
For Kurt? Is that a motion?
Sure.
Motion's been made to pay the invoices and let them know that we will take this project over in the future.
second.
Seconded by Sharon. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we're paying the amounts. I don't know where we're paying them out of. It's not in the budget, right?
Highway. There's
Well,
there's
yeah.
a line item
Said
for
there's
it, Don. It's only 500,
500, but this,
well,
but this is way
we
more
owe
than
the
that.
money, we might as well pay it.
Huh?
I mean,
okay. I'll let you guys figure that out. All right,
I'm gonna take up drinking.
Driveway permits.
driveway permits.
There's two of them, I believe, and nobody really knows who's taking care of them.
Oh, well, usually, well, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Mary.
Usually what happens is a road commissioner takes a look and makes sure the site distances are okay either way. For the, where the driveway is coming out onto the town road, make sure there's no obstacles. Makes a recommendation to the board, and I think the board has to approve them. Is it in writing? Did somebody put those?
Two of them
Okay,
here
Yeah, we've got
someplace.
one, they're not on the desk. We just got them in, but
Okay.
yeah, we have one was approved, waiting to be installed, and one that's waiting to be approved. We're
okay.
not sure who actually is approving them at this point.
Well, it's usually the road commissioner who goes, and I think we have an ordinance on that. But you go take a look and tell us whether it makes sense to access the driveway out onto the road at that point, or if there's any problems. When you come back and tell us, and then believe we issue the permit. Since Byron's on the call, he might be willing to answer that.
I thought Byron issued the permits.
Yes, that's correct, Joe.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was given the authority many, many years ago by the board to issue those permits. That permit is a two-tiered permit. You sign off on the first page. That gives the owner the right to construct the driveway. And then you go back and make a final inspection. And if everything looks right and the culverts are in correctly and that sort of thing, then you sign off, and that gives them the use of the driveway. And then that's recorded in the land, or in the land records. There's a highway driveway access book in the vault.
all right.
So you be the guy.
Thank you, Byron.
So there you have it.
That's all I've got.
Good. Good report. Good to see you sitting there. You got any idea what the time frame is on that truck? Or the chipper?
They're not gonna know anything down until,
No.
All depends on what whether we have to take it to a dealer or get somebody local to fix it.
or
The
if they even
agents
say
looked at
fix it at all.
The agents looked at it already, though. The insurance?
No.
They're coming tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay, thank you, guys. Now we go to discussing payments for public safety building postcards and signs.
Who's asking for that?
I don't know, I asked, now.
And I
wanna-
did,
Go
well,
ahead, Mary,
Yeah.
I'd like you to,
this was put on the agenda because I had heard from two different people. They had asked me questions, and I had the question myself. The
can we know
question
who the
is,
people are?
well, I'm one of them, so you
I
now
was
know.
one of them also.
Okay, so here's the question. The postcards in support of the postcards and the lawn signs in support of the proposed highway building. The question is, how were they paid for? And were they paid with town funds? And so I asked Bill to pull out the receipts, and what the receipts are showing me that those two expenses came out of what's called the Sutton Fund,
Right.
which is for, and I had heard they were paid by the town. In a way they were, but this is a special fund that is set aside for use by the firefighters themselves. So although it was a town payment, nevertheless, it was a dedicated firefighters fund that was used to pay it. It was fair to clear that up. It was a fair question, so.
So there is an issue with that, Mary.
Yeah.
So it appears the $30,000 from the Center Rutland Station settlement got put into the Sutton Fund. And that's what's paying for that. Because I do not have the copy right now, but ooh, Joe.
Well, go
Like,
ahead.
can I,
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt Kurt because I know he's done some research on this, but I think everybody needs a little history lesson here.
Mhm.
and if you guys don't mind, I'll try to fill in everything, okay?
Yep.
Raymond and Mary Sutton, on their untimely passing, left 2/3 of their estate to the Rutland Town Fire Department and 1/3 of their estate to the Cemetery Commission. The principal of both of those funds are not allowed to be touched. The cemetery folks have invested the money, and the interest can be used following the guidelines set forth in their wills. The fire department has done similarly. The fire department was not as aggressive in the investments, but they have generated some interest, and the interest from those funds can be used to purchase firefighting equipment or repair firefighting equipment. Now, I'm not sure how the 30,000 from the Center Rutland Fire Station went into that account, but it should not have gone into that account. That account has nothing to do with public funds, tax dollars, or bonded dollars, or any other dollars. It is to be spent at the discretion of the fire department, following the guidelines outlined in the will by the Suttons. And like I said, it's for the purchase and repair of firefighting equipment. Now, I don't know, somehow or other, this money is going to have to all get backtracked out of where it came from. The 30,000 that was taken out of the bond money was for soft costs for that building. And I'm not sure that money should have been used. It should have been used to pay the architects the $6,260, I do believe. But the advertising, what was done in the Center Rutland Fire Station case, this same topic came up about using public funds, and the 30,000 that was taken out of from that bond money would be considered public funds. Whether it is legitimate to do it or not, should probably not have been used for the advertising. When we did the center station, all mailings, all signs, all posters were paid for by the firemen out of the Fred Gallipo Memorial Fund. Those are contributions made to the firemen by folks that appreciate us showing up and either burning their house to the ground or saving it. But a lot of folks are very appreciative, and they send contributions. This money has been spent and taken care of and managed by the fire department. It has nothing to do with any tax dollars. And I had spoke with Chris Clark about this a few days ago, and I asked him how he paid for it. And he said, well, he got some advice that we should use that money from the soft cost money, but I don't think that was a good idea. But the bigger problem is that money should not have gone into the Sutton account, because now we are confusing public funds, what are pretty much private funds that are administered by the fire department specifically for fire department operations. So we'll have to figure out some way, extract that, monies back out of there, the $6,260 out of those soft costs. I don't know if that should be in its own account. And then those soft costs would come out of there. If the fire department, and Chris can speak to this, they want to reimburse that Sutton account for there's one is for $370 and the other is, one is for $658. Probably that would be cleaner and better for everyone, but just need to know what that Sutton fund, can be used for. And again, we don't want to cross public money and the fire department, what I would consider to be non-public money. That creates some problems and confusion. Hopefully that'll clear that up for you folks.
One question, Joe, are there sufficient funds in the Sutton fund to pay the cost of the flyers and the signs?
The Sutton fund cannot be used for that.
Mr. Sutton talked to me himself, because he also left all of his contents in his house to the mission.
Mhm.
And he told me
Yeah,
he
so,
was leaving it to the fire department to use it for whatever they needed.
It says right here in his will, which I have a copy of.
Right.
It's
You know
to-
what?
it's
I
to
heard- I
maintain,
hope
repair,
this isn't
replace.
Because of your issues you've had with the fire department and having being asked to leave the fire
Mary,
department.
Mary,
If
that has
you're-
nothing to do with
Well, I hope
anything
not,
that's going
because
on.
I would be
Hold
very
it.
disappointed with
Well,
Hold
you.
I'd
it.
be very disappointed
Shannon,
that you
John,
would assume that of me.
Well,
That
Oh,
is pretty
hey.
low, Mary.
well, I think my name's
Every-
not Mary, it's Sharon.
Sharon.
Oh, I have another
Stop.
question. The Gallipo Fund, does the Gallipo Fund still have funds in it?
Look at me all you want. I'm really, really can't believe you did that.
Joe, Chris, does the Gallipo Fund still have funds in it?
In your packet, you should have an email from the town attorney.
Yeah, I got
saying
that.
it's Okay, to use what was used to pay for that. That's why we paid for it that way.
I understand that. I just want to,
I have no problem with
but if
it.
the Gallipo Fund has funds in it, even though we have an opinion, it's not my position that we should be giving out our attorneys' opinions in this particular matter. We operate and you operate under a legal obligation to the town, and it is presumed that you're operating legally until someone proves that you're not operating legally. And the burden is on them to prove that you're not operating legally. And if we have an attorney's opinion on that matter, we don't give that out before there's some kind of a challenge that's a more formal challenge than this. But if the Gallipo Fund has funds in it, in terms of what Joe said, it would seem to me to be a cleaner solution simply to transfer funds from the Gallipo Fund back into the fund that the money was taken out of. If we have them, why not do that and make it totally clean? We know we're under the opinion that we're still operating legally anyway, but why not just clean it up for budgeting's sake, so that the records are clear? And Mary, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of issues here, and I think Chris is alluding to I requested our town attorney give us advice on this because I knew it was going to be an issue. Town attorney said, he looked at a couple of Supreme Court cases. He said, you're okay to use this town money for these purposes. Would I personally have done it that way? I probably would have done what we had done in the past, which is you pass the hat and everybody tosses a couple of checks in. I've done it in the past. Josh has done it in the past, JP, and you pay for the signs and so on that way. So I'm going to make a couple of motions, if you will allow me, Mr. Chair.
This is an open board. You make any motions you want, Mary.
Okay, and they might even be seconded, who knows? Okay, so first one, let's just clear up the MBF architects. We had clearly appropriated the $54,000 left over from the Center Rutland bond and the $30,000, which was settlement. We had clearly appropriated those for the soft costs. Chris is correct, the soft costs, which would include the MBF. So that money is not part of the Sutton Fund, and it should not have been paid out of the Sutton Fund. We had already appropriated those two sources for these costs. So just if we could ask the treasurer to make that correction, that would be my first motion.
Point of order, Mary, just before you go further.
Well, no, that was my motion, Joe, so.
Okay.
it has-
I understand that.
Whoa, Joe, hold it. There's a motion on the floor. It needs a second before we can have discussion.
All right, I'll second the motion. I'll second it.
Joe seconded the motion. Now we're in discussion. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. That money, that 85,000 cannot be contaminated or put in with the Sutton money. It has to stand alone. Right, Mary? Are you in agreement with that?
Yes, I agree. It should, if it were put in Sutton, it needs to come out of Sutton. That's all.
Right. Every bit of that has to come out of, because like I said, we are crossing public funds with an account that actually the town the select board, the treasurer, everybody else has no authority to spend. Only the fire department can spend that money out of the Sutton account. And we have to be clear about that. The records are kept in the checkbook has usually been in the vault since I was chief. I don't know what Frankie did, and I don't know what Chris is doing, but that money can only be spent on the authorization of the fire department. So we got to go back, take the money that was put in. I think you said about 85,000. That's got to, or 84. That's got to come out of there. It has to be in a standalone account, and then we will have to. So that would take care of part of the monies, but we got to get the Sutton account back to where it was prior to putting in that money, and then determine whether the fire department is going to reimburse the money out of the 84,000 from the Fred Galpo fund or whatever. You just got to get this. We just can't be crossing this money.
Yes, I understand, Joe. Kari, our town treasurer, has a comment to be made.
Gracious.
Go ahead.
For God's sakes, it's just money that we can transfer back. I put the 30,000 in the Sutton fund because there is nowhere else to put that money unless you open another account. And all the other money market accounts are depreciation accounts, and they have specific rules as well. This wasn't depreciation money, so we put it in the small Sutton. And of course, we're not going to mix money and use funds from the Sutton. I needed a place to put it. I had 2 checks in my hand and we needed a place to put it. So it went into the Sutton fund. If it's not supposed to be in there, we can transfer the money out. No big deal. It's a click of a button. And then the Sutton money will still be there. The engineer money will still be included in the soft costs, but the bond money is also just kind of hanging out there. That's not included. We don't physically have that money yet. So that's got to be talked about. You guys have all these plans for this money, but I have to deal with the money, and there's nowhere to put it until you tell me where to put it. So
We will do that. But what you're saying is that transfer was a transfer of convenience so that it would sit there.
To check somewhere. I wasn't
Right.
going to have them
Yeah.
sit on my
Right.
desk.
Right.
So they're
Question,
there.
Don?
Yeah.
Don? So what I don't understand is how Kari was able to put that money into that Sutton account, checking account, or I can't remember exactly what that account was when we set it up, because it's not a town account that she actually manages. I mean, I know the statements come into the town, but I'm not sure how we're getting there, because that was always managed by the, pretty much by the fire department, unless things have changed in the 8 years I've been gone. But pretty much that was always done that way, because, you just can't do that. It's just causing confusion down the road. And I don't know who's going to contact us, but that's just, I don't know. That's very difficult for me to understand.
Well, I think we'll get further clarification of that when the fire department presents their report tonight, and Chris and Dell can talk about that
Kari and Dale wanna.
amongst other things. But and Kari can speak to when, well, in her experience here, how that Sutton fund has been handled, where the account is. I mean, the money's got to be somewhere, Joe. It's got to be in a bank. And
There is. I think it was a money market checking account that we established when we got the money. And there was dividends coming from CV stock. And then when CV was bought out by Green Mountain Power, we had to cash the stock in. We took that money, and that money, I don't remember if we put all of it into the checking. I think part of it went to the checking, part of it went to the principal. And that stuff is got to be segregated from any town funds. And it's, and how it's administered is through the privilege of the fire department and what they did. We have bought numerous pieces of equipment for the fire trucks, rescue tools, and numerous stuff with the proceeds from that interest. And this kind of just sticking a bunch of money in there and for a place to put it doesn't quite work right, because it's confusing an account that has very stringent guidelines set up by a will that Kurt does have a copy of. And at one time I had a copy and I could probably read it to you verbatim. It's gone from my brain now, but we have to be very careful of not doing that because they have nothing to do with each other, and it just causes undue stress and confusion for everybody. And it does make Kari's workload much more difficult if she's trying to figure whose is what of this portion of money and whose isn't. We've got to get away from that.
Okay, well, we're in the weeds on it right now, so we'll have it straightened out. I'm not I'm not sure myself who actually writes the checks out of the account for the past procedures, but I think the treasurer probably writes the checks. If the treasurer
Out of the
writes
Sutton account?
out of the
Sutton account?
yeah.
When I was
It might have
chief,
changed, Joe. It might
it
have
was
changed
me.
from when you're. So when you
Right. Well, when Frankie got elected chief, Frankie's name was added to the Sutton account to be able to write checks. I don't know if my name is still on it or it's gone. And now that Chris is in charge, his name, there was usually two folks on there, a chief and assistant chief, and they were the ones allowed to sign the checks. I do know that when the interest would be coming in there and the town treasurer would take and just that information would end up there at the town office, because everybody said it should be at the town office, and they would just update that account, but they didn't spend anything out of it or have access to it. So if that's all changed in the last few years, I don't know, but originally it was a chief and I think an assistant chief, and then it's transitioned along the way. But I just say we just, and hopefully Mary's motion that I second will help clear this up.
I certainly hope so. You've heard the motion. You want to repeat the motion, Mary? I think it's been a while since we heard it.
Well, come on, Don, come on, repeat it. No, I think the motion is, it's the first part of it is to make sure the $30,000, which was from the settlement of the Center Rutland Fire Station lawsuit, combined with the $54,000 from the bond that wasn't used, for a total of $84,000, that be put in a separate account for soft costs and not be combined with Sutton. So I think that's my motion.
Is there any, and that was seconded. So is there any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Well, I didn't vote. Okay, the motion passes. And now you have a second motion, Mary?
Yeah, the second motion is to, now that we have gotten an opinion of town attorney, I don't have any problem with letting our previous approval of the payment for the printing of the postcards, which we have paid, the printing of the lawn signs, which we have paid, and because I don't think we've seen it yet, the costs of mailing, that all of those be authorized as an expense of the town and not from the Sutton Fund.
It can't come out of the Sutton Fund anyway. It's not, it's a misuse of funds.
Well, that's her motion, Joe.
Yeah,
Okay.
That it not come out of the Sutton.
nobody's seconded it, so there you have it.
So there's a motion on the floor for all of those expenditures related to the flyers and the signs come out of town funds. There's a second to that motion.
I would like to I think that we should hear from the fire chief and let them see how they want to handle it before we go for it further. Not that I'm not in favor of the town paying for this, but I think that that's going to create some hate and discontent, because if I was opposed to that building and you were using tax dollars to pay for promoting it, I would probably be upset. And I don't say that it's illegal to do what we've done or legal. I just think it's better, and it's better in the best interest of the credibility of the fire department, how it's done. So would it be okay, Mary, if we reserve this and to hear what Chris has to say?
Well, Joey, nobody seconded my motion, so it's moot point anyway.
We don't have a second yet, and we still may have one.
I would second the motion. I want to hear from the fire chief.
So you're seconding it for discussion purposes?
Correct.
Okay, we have a second to the motion for discussion purposes, and I would like to bring the chief and the assistant chief, the deputy chief, to the table for testimony. And you can give your fire department report as well as dealing with this particular issue right here that we have in front of us. Chris Clark and Larry Delveneri are with us right now. Welcome,
Okay.
gentlemen.
The reason it was paid for the way it was paid for is because, if I am correct, it was approved by the board, and a former board member who I asked before we paid it, is this what we were approved to do? And I was told, yes. Not out of the Sutton fund, out of the fund set aside for the
Soft costs.
yeah, for the building. So if it's a big deal, and I don't want it to be, we can pay for it out of the fire department fund, which is not a big deal. I just didn't ask the department because I figured it was paid for from the vote of the board. And I read the attorney letter
And we did
saying it
vote
was
on it.
okay.
Mhm.
So I didn't worry about it.
So that
you
would
go.
have to go back to your next monthly meeting
I know how
to
it
be
works.
approved by the, I was just asking.
So what would your recommendation be?
Whatever you want us to do, we'll do.
Kelly, you have anything to say?
I have Chris, when we talked about the soft costs of the fire station and those things, I didn't think we were including any advertising for the bond to the voters. And I'm not sure if the rest of the board thought we were. I don't know. I can't speak for the other 4 members of the board, but from my personal experience and for my thoughts, I would not have okayed that money to be used for advertising for a yes vote for that bond. That's my own personal, having experienced this and been down this road one trip ahead of you.
Okay,
Well, I
now
haven't had a
Del-
trip down the
Del
road
was-
yet.
Del was-
Part way.
Yeah, Dell,
The chief has nothing to do with this. This is my doing. I'm the one that started this. We had to get out a postcard and we were in a hurry to do it. We were running out of time. So I called Don Chaffee and got his advice on what to do. So we did it. It came out of the soft fund. If I'm guilty, I'm guilty, but
I don't think you're guilty of anything, Del.
nothing was done illegally.
No,
No,
Nothing
and I
was done
respect
illegally.
your
It
department,
was
you guys. I don't,
Above board.
Yep.
And again, the fire department has nothing to do with that. That was my decision. The chief handed it down to me and that's the way I ran it.
and just to recall our conversation, Del, when you asked me, my opinion was that since the board was in unanimous approval of the building and putting it in front of the people, and we're supporting it unanimously, there wasn't any dissent on the board. So I didn't see any problem with using town funds. Now, I've seen the school signs up there. unfortunately for us, those things went way back to when the school budget was defeated, I think 2 or 3 times, and they had quite a problem passing the school budget. And after that, they had those signs printed up, and they've been using them every year, support the school budget, but they were not paid for with school funds. So that kind of doesn't fit our situation, but that's never been a problem. Nobody's ever questioned those signs at the school asking to support the school budget because, whatever.
Well, actually, may I speak?
Sure.
Okay, so those signs were actually paid for by a group of parents and the teachers. That was not a town appropriation for those.
Right.
I know,
right.
because I kicked in money for it. Like others of us have kicked in money. I think there was a police item a few years back.
Right.
However, back to your point, we did as a select, we didn't specifically, vote on this particular expenditure, but we all signed these orders, bills, and warrants. So we approved those expenditures. So, and, done is done. I know there's another one coming in, I believe, for postage on the postcards. Well, we've got to pay the credit cards. So my motion would encompass all of these and have the town pay for it. We've already approved the payment for these 2. Let's just do it again. Next time when we have something like this, we probably ought to flag it specifically and not just say, yeah, it's kind of all included. That's all. So my motion would take care of this and would also pay the upcoming credit card bill for the postage.
Thank you.
All right, second.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
You seconded it. Well, you already seconded it, so, so
Done
there you
deal.
go.
I agree with it.
There you go.
The
Yeah,
only,
thanks.
the only one discussion piece I have that I'm not opposed of, but was concerning is as the law reads, you can't include opinion or comment on these postcard mailings. And as the town firefighters would appreciate your support on an article would then be maybe construed as an opinion to vote yes in support of that article.
Boy, that's stretching it.
I think so.
I think it's
semantics
just, I
now.
think it's just a little gray area. It's not a huge deal. And then the only other one thing is I know of many of people that did not receive these cards.
Okay, I heard that too, and I'm gonna tell you what happened. When I went to get these postcards, I asked Susan how many voters, legal voters in the town of Rutland. She said 3,300, around 3,300. So I went and got 3,300 cards. So we're there, we're putting all the addresses on the thing, on the envelopes there. And holy shit, I got all these postcards. What's going on here? Renters didn't get them. Anybody that didn't pay taxes didn't get them. But I didn't know that. That caught me by surprise too.
So did
It
you,
wasn't done intentionally.
No.
do you only receive 3,300?
I had to pay for 5,000.
Yeah, so do we need to maybe, so we're paying for 5,000, but we only received 3,300 postcards?
No, I got the others.
Oh, you got them
Yeah.
later. Okay.
They wouldn't just print. It was cheaper to go 5,000 than it was 3,300.
Mhm.
I don't get that, but
Okay.
exactly. No, there's no funny business going on or nothing. I think the mailing was, these stickers were something like a little over 1,000.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
So we got a mailing coming.
and I forgot there's 2 voters on almost each household.
Yeah, I know.
Well, is there any further discussion on the motion on the floor?
Yeah, just a quick point. On page 18 of our town report, there is, and it's right under the fire budget, there's a report on the Sutton Fund. So I can understand how all of this kind of got smushed together because we do have to report it kind of as town funds available, but it's not really. So
And if
anyway,
I can bring
future
light
reference.
to the clerk, she has charge of our checkbook. It started with Kirsten. We gave her permission to do it because we were missing getting the interest. So she took it and was getting the interest for us, putting it in there. And then when Kari became treasurer, we asked her to do it too. That's how that all started.
And that.
And that was done in the past too.
For accounting purposes, that seems to make really good professional sense to do that.
She's the only one that can write a check out of that right now.
So there you go. So that's also a good accounting. And that's why we get a clean bill of health from our accountants when they review our total budgets and expenditures.
Anything else on this?
No, but
wanna
if
put
there's
this to
anything
bed
else,
and move on. Agree to pass this.
I'll call for the vote, but stay there because we can give the rest of your report. That'll take care of that. Is there any more discussion on the motion? The motion again is to pay for the stuff out of town funds. Are you ready for the vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye. Opposed.
One opposed, three in favor, one abstention. I don't vote. Motion passes. And we'll pay the bills, out of those funds. Okay.
The only other
Any,
thing I got is I got a new application here for Andrew Mclaughlin, 20 years old. We met with him and we think he'll be a good fit. So with your approval, we'll have him start coming.
you townie or
He lives in the city right now.
city?
Yep.
Okay.
I tell you, we've been pretty fortunate the last couple of months. We've gotten in 3 or 4 young people.
Good.
And that hasn't happened in a long time.
That's good.
So I'm excited about that. Keep them coming. We
What's
need-
your strength right now, Dale?
We're 33, 32,
33. 33,
33.
With this or
34.
34?
Yeah.
So I
So
move
we
the
have to-
There you go.
approval of
What's
the
your pleasure?
application.
Pardon me?
I move the approval of the application.
Wait,
Second.
Steady gun.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. You can-
Motion's been made to approve,
I second.
seconded, all. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Move approved. Where's the, the whole board? You want to sign it? The whole board. sign it. 34 is pretty good, really. In this day and age, I'll tell
We're
you.
happy. We're going up, we're not going down. So. Again, we give a little. And we get a lot back, so.
Yep. I would not want you folks' jobs.
How you gonna say another chair?
Listen, you practice firefighting at a young age, Dell. I won't explain that to everybody.
And I think I remember some of those fire calls too. I do.
Yeah, yeah, run over the bridge and go to the other side and help them fight the fire you set.
I have that back.
Where do we keep these, Mary?
Pink folder,
No,
unless they,
I need it
yeah,
back.
okay.
That's
We need
what I
that
thought.
one
He
I
needs
need it
this
back.
back.
Yeah,
We'll give you a copy.
unless it's an
Okay.
exception, and then there's an exception. All right.
That's all I got. Thank you.
That's it.
That's
Thank you,
it.
guys.
Thanks,
Yeah.
folks.
Thank you, guys.
And again, congratulations on a good campaign.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This goes in the pink folder.
Yeah.
And these, well, no, they had. they
Oh, I
don't.
got enough.
This goes.
Oh, there's another one too. Where's the other? Yeah. Remember the pink folder.
You
See,
might
we're,
want to change the color, Don,
Huh?
just saying.
I
Listen,
might go to
that's-
blue.
That's breast cancer color, so you leave it right alone. You hear me?
It's Coleman color. That's Coleman.
Combing this.
Yes, it is. We go into H. Board to discuss next steps for the public safety building. And I think what I'd like to do to start off the discussion is go to Kari Clark and have her give her report under department head reports, because that will include part of our discussion on the public safety building. Could you, Kari? Thank you. And we must have an emergency because our emergency management director is just showing up. Better late than never. Have a seat.
I was at Regional Ambulance.
Ah,
When
he was performing his duties as regional ambulance director or member from the town. Go ahead, Kari, the floor is yours.
All right. I have a list of things and then I'll get to the information that you are requesting. For my report, we had our election, our town meeting, and that was very successful. All articles have passed, and I have posted the results in multiple places. So if you haven't seen them yet, they are on our website and Facebook page. They're actually everywhere. And if you were one of those people to win your race, and I haven't seen you yet, I need to have you sign your oath of office, and I will swear you in. So come into the office and I'll take care of that. Second thing, other than what we're going to discuss, is we have just a couple weeks left for the dogs. I have put out a reminder in the Herald to run for 2 Saturdays, this Saturday and the next Saturday. The deadline's April 1st. Just make sure that you have your updated rabies and we'll get you a tag and you'll be good for the next year until January. I know this is part of our agenda. I saw that, but I usually give a reminder on the next deadline for the circle. And Janelle has April 1st as the next deadline. So if you want to write an article for Janelle for the circle, make sure to submit that to her by that date. And then the last thing that I want, before I get there, we do have, in regards to elections, we do have a new tabulator and box for each polling site. The box will be shipped here and delivered. We'll see them on Thursday, the 17th. And then they don't have a date, but they just said a delivery at a later date for the tabulator. So we're pretty excited that there's some new technology for elections. I know that I think our tabulators have seen their day. Let's just put it that way.
I would confirm that after
Me
after
too.
working that tabulator. Yeah.
However, Don, you seem to have the magical touch in the afternoon. It didn't
Yeah, 'cause
have-
it wouldn't break down
it didn't
for
get
you.
angry in the afternoon. My side, the morning, it got angry. So that's good news. And then I did want to discuss, my job as treasurer is anything on the ballot that has to do with money, especially this time. I need to either get information or move forward with whatever was passed. And the public safety building was passed. And it's my job to get information about the bonds that we may have to use. We have, in our article, we have allocated certain funds for that. If we need to have more funds for the public safety building, we may have to go out to bond, which we all knew going into this. So being kind of new to the bond process, I wanted to dip my foot in just to see exactly how it works. So I reached out to our Vermont Bond Bank agency that we currently have our other Center Rutland bond under. And I talked to a lovely lady there named Ashley. And it's quite a lengthy process. So knowing the information now is better than not having it and not doing it later. So there's a couple of things. She said mainly people want to know when they're asking for information, you know, how to get it going and when are they going to see the funds. And there's much more to it that I'm not going to get into, but just know to answer those questions. If I get it started now, then we could actually have funds by August. So it's quite a significant amount of time. They have a board that meets. They have to pool together all the applications, is how bonds work. And then they go out to market, is what she said. And that happens in the summer only. So it's, you know, quite the organized process. I know I keep saying that. So she has signed me up for a webinar that will explain a little bit more about the application process, because that in itself is lengthy as well. That is next week, but I can get started anytime. And I say this because we don't want to wait on this stuff. We have something that passed, and it's my job and my obligation to get it started on behalf of the voters. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there, the information that I found so far. I will learn a little bit more next week. I may have to come to the board and, you know, ask certain questions for the application. Not really sure, just putting that out there. But I'm excited to get the process started because she said we're right on time.
Good.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
One thing that I would love to see this project have is an outline of, I mean, kind of, we got into this discussion earlier about these monies, and it didn't, obviously clarity wasn't quite there. But for this project, I want an outline of, this is kind of the timeline in general. Maybe this outline evolves over time, maybe starts out really general, but we've told the voters that we're using ARPA funds, we're using capital improvements, we're using the soft costs with the bond and such. I want to see that say, this money is going to be used for this because the timing works better. I want that for every category, including when we need the bond, because obviously the bond is going to take some time to get. So if we break ground earlier, we'll have to use the money that we've told the voters that we've allocated, the ARPA and the capital improvements. But as the treasurer, I want to know exactly what I'm using for what part of that project.
Okay, well, that's proactive planning, and that's good, and you should have that.
Mhm.
The bond will be the last piece.
Exactly.
Obviously, and since that represents about 50%, even with standard completion times, we're well within the time frame. But you have a deadline to report to the agency as to how we're using those funds under the 10 million provision.
So the ARPA deadline to report, the first reporting
Right.
of that money is the end of April 30th, that I have to report out to ARPA. For this bond deadline for the application process, there is a deadline as well as the end of April as well. So
they happen to coincide.
they do
Really?
coincide. Yeah.
That's good.
One thing, Don, if I remember, I think from the Center Rutland Station, when the architects come up with a final design for the building that will go out to bid, there is a schedule of, I do believe there's a schedule of payments and how that's going. And to Kari's point, because we are using funds from multiple sources, it will make her job a little tougher. I can't remember exactly how that looked, because we were just using bond money to come out to that. One question I do have for Kari, do we have to commit to an amount for the from the bond prior to knowing? I guess we probably will have to commit to meet the deadlines that you're speaking of as an amount we want to request.
I know what you're trying to say, Joe. She did mention, I say she, Ashley, the woman, the contact that I was speaking with, we'll have a general idea of what we'll need by the time this process gets started and it goes kind of through its own levels of approval. But she said it's kind of like if you have, I think it goes along with exactly what you went through with the Center Rutland Fire Station. If you have more than what you need, you don't have to use it. I can get more clarity on that. She did give me a really brief overview of that. It didn't sound bad at all. It's kind of like any other loan. So what I can get you is a little bit more detail on that. Maybe the webinar will probably give me a little bit more on, do we need an exact amount, or is it okay not to spend up to that?
Yeah, we may end up borrowing more than we actually need based on the numbers we have. And we won't know what we actually need until the contractors and the builders come in with their bids. So that's the same thing. We asked for 2 million for the Center Rutland Station, and the initial bids came in at just about 1.3. And then, we had some trouble there and some things that got forgotten. So you'll probably we'll end up with the same thing. We'll end up with a little more than we need, and then we'll figure out. I was just wondering, I always try to figure out a way if we could know how much we needed before we ask for it, but I don't think there's any way to do that.
And I'm really glad I think you're thinking the way that I am when I said I wanted an outline. Of course, I'm not in charge of this project, but I'd love to have that say for the treasurer side. And I would love to see like a committee of this project and, among the committee members, make it an organized fashion of exactly what, an outline after we know finances and stuff like that.
Well,
and deadlines.
Our board decided under Mary's leadership that we would, that the entire board would be the building committee. And I think that still is a good idea, because of people's availability. But, we have a lot of experience on this board, and anyone should be able to be and feel responsible to be involved with this. But we're also going to have a clerk of the works, and the clerk of the works should be integrated into this process as well as a building and technology committee, even though we generally think of that as small building projects here. But if you're a building committee and this is a building, it would seem logical. That gives us more people involved. And I'd like to say for those people that are out in the virtual land that, this may seem a little dragged out for you. I hope it isn't, because this is a major project for the town of Rutland. I mean, $4 million is nothing to sneeze at. This is a major infrastructure problem for the town. And my goal, as far as this whole process is concerned, is to be as totally transparent as possible amongst ourselves and with the people of the town. And that's why these kind of discussions, I think, are very important, so that everybody knows that we are approaching this with our due diligence, and we want the most economical and beneficial project for the people of Rutland Town as we can get, under some pretty tough building conditions right now, and a pretty tough economy as well. So we have a major, as Mary said, we have a major challenge ahead of us, and we're underway, and I think we're well underway with the planning that you have started already with the bond process. So,
Mary had a question.
Mary?
Yeah, on the ARPA funds,
Mhm.
we want to avoid that
Mhm.
special audit.
Mhm.
Okay, and so we should, and maybe it's a question back to you and Andrew. We have to probably request that, and we have to, in 2 different installments, we have to allocate it in 2 different installments, so we split it, so we don't hit 750,000.
Within the year.
Right,
Right.
with it, is it calendar year or fiscal year?
I can get it
Yeah,
clarified. I think it probably is calendar year.
I think it is, which means we can appropriate one of it, one with a, motion of the board at some point immediately, and then we can let the other go until January 2nd or so.
Yep.
So just if you could get the timing for that, and then we could do whatever motions might be necessary to commit those 2
Mhm.
pieces of the funds and not trigger that audit.
Oh, yeah, that's not gonna
You kept
happen.
warning us about that. Don't.
That's not
trigger
gonna
that.
happen under me. Mm-mm.
So,
One more question for Kari.
Go ahead,
Kari,
John.
when you have, when you get, you started the process and you're gonna, go to this, attend the webinar thing, I do believe that you will have to set up a public safety building account where these funds will be in, I guess Andrew might be the best resource as for how we will need to put these funds someplace where they can be accessed to pay construction costs or whatever going forward and any costs that come up. And then that may help you with like that 84,000 you're talking about that you have, but you don't have and you don't know where to put. Maybe that's what we'll need. So maybe that would be a really good question for our accountant as to how do we manage these funds, have a specific account, and that's where the bond money goes. That's where the ARPA money goes. That's where the capital improvement money goes, and any other, so that you will have I'm really hoping a much easier job of, okay, this is where I go and this is how I pay it. So I think that might be some stuff that would help you if you can find the answers to that for yourself.
Oh, that's certainly a way that I was heading toward anyway. I have conversations with Andrew and our TD Bank representative, John Weston, quite regularly. And currently we have an ARPA account where our ARPA funds live separately from everything else. So we can just work together and figure out what is the best way between the bank, because they have their own rules, and what we can do as a town to make this an account for the building. I agree with you, Joe.
Okay. Yeah, anything you can do to make this just easier and on you, and so you can just say, okay, here's what I did, here's where it is, and well, yeah, there's a bill from this construction company for 250,000, and I know where to go with that. So and I'm sure that the accountants and the bank are going to be, this isn't their first rodeo either.
Right. Absolutely.
good. Do you have any,
Do I have anything more?
have anything more?
No, I think I've taken enough time. Mary does though.
This is Rutlandtown Seniors. Okay, we have a small account. Marty knows this, wherever Marty. We have a small account in another bank.
Mhm.
It's become more and it's become more difficult to deal with that bank. Can we transfer it into a separate account with TD Bank and then have it accessed? And I will say it includes both money from people who have paid for their meals there, but mostly town appropriations. So it's kind of like a mixed something account. And can we just transfer everything over to you and have you cut the checks, or not cut the checks, but authorize someone from the seniors to sign for the luncheons and the trips?
So I've been having this discussion. I mean, we've sent emails back and forth to each other, and I sent the email to Marty because Marty Wasserman, I believe, is taking over something for the seniors.
Now I was elected.
You're the treasurer. So I've had the conversation with John Weston, our TD Bank representative. And he had a list, which I've sent to both of you, of different questions, because obviously I'm not in that group to know the answers. So I'm just kind of waiting for the response to those questions.
Okay.
And then, I mean, then we can try to, he's willing to directly talk to either one of you or
Okay.
whomever he needs to either get the answers, see if he can do it. It's just it's just another account. We've got plenty of them.
No, and there's, Mary, there wouldn't be any problem with their, I mean, we're just making contributions to a fund, so it's almost like we're self-taxing ourselves and giving the money for.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that
we can
it was
commingle.
easy enough to, I mean, somebody paid the bill for today's luncheon, right?
Right.
How
I
did
think Marty
that
did.
work okay?
Sure, and my credit card.
Oh, Lordy. Okay, so
And
that's
it'll
what
be
we want
interesting
to
see
avoid.
What happens, because as
Yeah.
the treasurer, I wrote a check out of the treasury, which they won't accept me being the treasurer at this other bank.
All right.
I will see if they cash it. I signed it. So reimbursement.
I was just gonna say, on our part anyway, make sure you put it in the reimbursement.
I have bail money for you, Marty, don't worry.
I might do some free legal work. We'll see.
I'll drop you
So-
off a couple
and,
whoopie pies.
Sharon, maybe you'd like to give us a report right now, since it came up, and we missed you, Mary.
I was working, Don.
Well,
Yeah, it was a great meal.
26 people today.
26 people today.
Good.
God, I felt old. Senior luncheon, I'm looking around going, oh my God, what am I doing?
I'm glad you're working, Mary, because
None of them look,
I'm on Social Security.
wait, none of us
Payment.
look like seniors, right, Marty?
No,
You're one of the young ones in that group. I don't know what.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
it was a very nice gathering.
But it was very nice.
Very nice.
So Marty, before I leave up here, will you, I know you called the other day, but you want to stop in and maybe we can go over that stuff, or?
So you two are going to go to jail together.
Right.
Hey,
I gotta double my
halfway
bail
there.
money. Double my bail account for you. Okay, good. So you guys will meet and get it ironed out. Okay,
That's all I had.
good. Thank you, Kari.
Welcome.
And again, congratulations on a very well-run election.
I thank everyone that was a part of that. It went very smoothly.
Yeah, I do too.
Numbers all came out right.
Fantastic.
Good.
Mhm.
Get 100% rating again. Okay. We're all, well, we're not done yet. Board to discuss next step for public safety building.
I think we need a
Other
clerk of the
issues.
works.
We need to discuss a clerk of the works, what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, and how that's going to proceed. So, Sharon?
I would suggest John Paul Fagnet. He's the one that started all the work on here. He put a lot of time in. And I think if he's willing to do it, I think John would be excellent. He's got the time and he's got the knowledge, and this was his baby from the start, and I think it would be a good decision. So that's my motion.
I'll second
I'll
that.
second that.
Oh, well, we've got 2 seconds.
We have 2 or 3
That's good.
seconds, which would be
Yeah.
a third. So we're in discussion now.
Okay.
Pardon me?
John
Okay.
Paul is on the call.
So,
JP's on the call.
Mary's got her hand up.
yeah,
Yes, Mary.
I believe, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he is willing to work for the constable rate of what, $24 or $25 an hour.
2568 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay. JP is a member of both the police department. He's a constable as well as a special officer. He's also with the fire department. So he's got working knowledge of both services that would be using that building. He obviously put a lot of time and effort into it. So rather than struggling with a committee of the whole, I think a clerk of the works makes a whole lot more sense. Big issues, obviously, he'd be bringing back to us, but I can't see us meeting every week to go over all of this stuff.
No,
So
I
So
wasn't.
my question to this position, Mary, would JP remain as I guess we appointed him as our point person, liaison person, or whatever with the architects, because would that include that along with basically watching over the construction? Because that's technically what the clerk of the works does, watches over the construction and, visits the site and makes sure that things are done according to the design and make sure everything's okay in the town's. Yeah, so it would be like a double function. Would I be understanding that correctly?
I think you would. It's up to the board to determine what the time frame would be. My suggestion would be that it would start pretty much immediately, and as needed, he would perform what functions that he could of liaison and so forth. But
Yeah,
it's up, I'd like to encourage discussion of that with the board.
No, I'm gonna be opposed, but that's just simply because the voter spoke and JP's no longer a member of the board, and I do believe him leaving may have had something to do with the design of this building in general. I just want to make sure there's some transparency there.
So noted.
A couple of things. JP's tight with money, so that
It's a good thing.
that reassures me that, if there are things that need to be adjusted, and frankly, some of the things that were last minute on the Center Rutland Fire Station, some of the things that were added after design, the architect's design actually cost us more money. So we have to be careful of that. And I think because he went through the settlement process, JP is well aware of those things. There's one other thing we can do, and I'm not arguing against Sharon's motion that I seconded, but we can have the architect also act as construction manager. So that option is there. My suspicion is it would cost a lot more to do that. And then, we wouldn't have the second set of eyes on the architect's contract. And I think we do need a good review of that contract, the AIA contract. Anyway, that's
Based
all.
on the experience that we had with the other building, I would say that if we had the previous architect, I wouldn't be in favor of it.
Yes.
But now that we have this architect,
Yes.
I would definitely be in favor of it.
Except for
It's
the
like a
cost.
night and day thing, but I
Yes.
would,
I could get on board with that for sure.
Yeah.
Have somebody that has
Yeah.
the construction experience, has done multiple of these buildings be involved, definitely would help for sure.
if you don't mind, JP, first of all, welcome to the meeting. And I didn't realize you were there right from the beginning, and I was a little remiss. And I want to thank you personally for your long years of service on this board and to us and to the town and to this project. And I think we have to begin to compartmentalize this thing. And you had an election and you're not a selectman anymore, but that doesn't mean that you're not valuable to the project. And it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be looking for the most expertise that we can so that we don't end up in the situation we did last time around. And that's why I'm in favor of you assuming this role. And if you'd like to speak to it, I would certainly like to hear from you.
Sure. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I always had in mind when I started work on this project that Ed Clark would be our eyes and ears in terms of compliance with the specifications for the project. I would be more in the terms of an usher. I just keep pushing the envelope, getting things done. As Kurt probably well knows, on a construction site, if you don't keep pushing the envelope, things will lag behind. And that's how I think maybe we missed some things last time around. So I am aware of that. But I do see the professionals doing their professional job. And while I didn't specifically talk with Ed about construction management, I am comfortable that he is comfortable taking a very active role to make sure we get what we're paying for.
Thanks,
So we're
JP.
gonna call the roll call
So there's a motion and a second,
in a second.
and, well, further discussion. Any, got anything more, Kurt?
No,
Joe, do you have any discussion on?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, we'll, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? You have a 4-0 vote, and we should meet probably in executive session and to set pay amounts and so forth, since that's.
What are you doing?
2568 an
You,
hour.
did you already, was that a part of the motion?
She already brought that in.
Yeah, I
for the
think that's
motion.
part
You
of the
put that in the motion, did you? Hi, yeah, JP, you got a good motion maker there, JP. So I guess that's in there, but to start immediately as needed.
Well, I think so. It was
That is
Sharon's
true.
motion, actually.
Yeah, start immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have to.
You gotta go, JP. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Likewise.
We're gonna end up with a great project, I know. Okay,
JP, did you like that part about you being tight with the money?
Well, you can't hide from the truth.
if you see his bicycle, you'll know he's there. Okay, let's go. Are there any other steps that we need to discuss for the public safety building?
Good.
Anyone? Hearing none, we'll go on to the next item, which is a reminder of the deadline for the circle. We've already been reminded of that. That's April 1st. Department heads, please get your information in. You don't necessarily have to wait till April 1st, but get them in there. There's any necessary need for any executive sessions? I don't believe that any have come before us for any need. Any other new business to come before the board?
Don, if I could be heard as health officer for just a minute, I had some thoughts the board might want to consider.
Okay, well, Bill, out of a real good concern for the time frame of this meeting, has put all of the department heads at the end of the agenda.
Okay, I apologize. I
Old
don't
business. So we will go down through there, and actually you're going to be up pretty quick because we've covered Kari, Clark, Mike Rowe, we haven't, Ed, we haven't, Walt, we have, Barbara Noyes Pulling, been waiting patiently, and the town fire chief has given his report, so we'll do it under department heads. Any other new business to come before the board? Anyone? Okay, any old business? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go to department head reports, and the first up is Mike Rowe, Town Recreation Director. Thanks for your patience, Mike.
Hello all, congratulations, Kurt.
Thank you.
JP, thank you for your service. I just have a couple of things. And just bear with me when I pop it up. I thought I had it, I didn't. Baseball and baseball signups are on, so if people want to go on the website, they're more than welcome to go on the website and look at what we have for signups, and please go ahead and do that. We're hoping to start the first or second week of April for weather-wise for practice. T-ball and Mighty Mites, we're hoping to start the first part of May. They start a little bit later. My other question, or just to let you know, is that we're still working on the Act 250 permit. We're working and meeting with the erosion control and the wetlands part in our group that has been diligently working, which is Andy McMillan and Mary Beth Poley. Will have a report for you sometime next week so that you can hopefully sign off at your next select board meeting so we can get the process rolling and get it through the permitting process. So that's where we're at, right there. And then my last piece is, now that budget is passed, not that it wasn't already budgeted before, but where do we stand on the shared use path at Northwood? And when are we going to construct this? I know that it's already marked. I know that there are stakes in the ground right down the middle of this path. And it's been on the burner for a long time, and it's budgeted for, and it's laid out. I do not want this to stall. So I'm hoping that, I mean, I think the plan was originally that the highway was going to do that. Well, that's not there anymore. So now it's sending out to bid. So I would hope it's not my department, but it affects what I do as far as at the park. So I'm hoping that we have a plan and we're moving forward with that plan to get that done. So I just wanted to bring that out there. I know you have a lot on your plate. This has been kicking around for a long time, and we have the money, I believe, for it. Or at least it was budgeted for in the highway department. And I'm just hoping that we figure out how we're going to do that and get that done.
Who on the board knows more about this?
Mike's the one that we really.
Was actually Byron.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of his babies that he just didn't quite get to finish.
Yeah.
And I want it finished because a lot of it has to do with the sidewalk grant.
That's right.
That from the school, because we needed an end spot, and we went through a lot of getting easements, and we've done a lot with this project, and it's ready to go. And it was just a matter of the construction. They would have had it done last year, but things got backed up and they didn't want to start late in the fall. I remember having a conversation with Byron. So I know it's literally all marked out, and it's just a matter of getting it done. So I don't
No,
want
Mike,
this to
just
go by the
refresh me. Is
wayside.
this the one that's behind the school and up, or is it the
No,
Shasana
this is the one
Drive?
from Shazana
Shasana
Drive up to the
up
back
to-
of the ball field.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, that's been on the burner for quite a while.
so I just want to make sure that we get that finished. And I know there are monies in the highway budget that was earmarked for that. I don't know the specific line item. So I'm just hoping that we can get that moving as well. And then we'll be good. I'll keep reminding you.
Mary?
I think Byron's still on the call. Can, if he's willing, would he recommend a couple of next steps on that?
Hi, Mary.
Byron?
Yeah, I think your best bet now is to recognize that there has been significant money carried over in the highway budget. Part of that was generated as construction money for the shared use path, and utilize those dollars that are sitting there and have been sitting there for a year and a half to construct that path. But you're going to have to draw up specifications, which, you know, there are plans and drawings from Otter Creek Engineering for that, which would be the basis for your specifications, and put that out to bid. And the quicker you put it out to bid, the quicker you'll get it done. I would certainly hope that you could get it done by, you know, the 1st of September, which would give you a good month and a half to get grass reestablished and that sort of thing.
Did the highway department purchase the structures for the stormwater ponds?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That's all sitting up there, and
Yeah, there's
that's all done.
stormwater ponds with that.
Okay. All right.
I think we're going to have to meet with, I think the best plan would be to meet with Robert Clark, take a look at the plans, and then get some, you know, if we're going to put it out to bid, we're going to need some help drafting that. So that would probably be a good first step.
So the question is, do you put it under recreation, which is kind of where it is, or do you put it under highway, which has been working on it? And I would suggest one of those committees should be charged with
Right, if,
protecting Robert Clark and moving forward.
yeah, if we're going to be using funds out of highway, then actually for my benefit, it doesn't matter which committee. I mean, it's highway and recreation. We meet with Robert Clark because Mike's got the knowledge of the plans and where it's going. Robert's got some of the design stuff, and we need to get a plan together and get it out to bid. It looks like we're probably going to be paying our share. I don't know. I believe there's some grant money for this. I can't remember exactly what we're looking at grant money. So, the matching funds will probably be coming out of highway. So I think it's a joint committee thing. We get together, get a plan and get going.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joey. I think both
of them.
recreation and
Yep.
highway.
Yep, I was thinking the same thing. I think it's good to have both heads involved with that, and Robert. Why don't, Joe, why don't you see if you could facilitate setting up that meeting?
Okay.
And you and Robert Clark and the two department heads get together and we'll get it started.
There's only one department head. You don't have a highway department head.
Yes, we do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Walt, I apologize.
No, we do.
I didn't mean it like that.
No, we don't, we're going to be advertising and whatever, but Walt's a man.
Apologize, Walt. No disrespect there whatsoever. Okay.
Your road's not going to be plowed.
No.
Don't get me in. Don't even start me on that. I'll keep my mouth shut there.
So
that's all I have unless anybody has anything
No.
for me.
thanks for bringing it up and thanks for staying.
Well, I don't want it to die. And I
No.
know the stakes are in the ground and I don't want to lose the stakes.
No, well,
It's like ready to just somebody to,
So we'll meet with the two committees and you.
that's fine.
Okay.
Not a problem.
great.
Just wanted to throw that out there. Any questions
Super.
for me?
No.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Ed Dumas, Town Police Chief. Evening, Ed.
How's it going? First up, I handed our call for service list. We had 64, if I counted right. Of the 64, I want to say probably, let's see, 4 came from Holiday Drive, 19 complaints from the south end of town, which probably generate mostly from Holiday Drive. Oh, and that was business as usual. They did have a accident. Officer Placus investigated it. Report's done. I have to give it to Bill. I just printed it out before I started the meeting. I got a memo from Officer Placus to get that to Bill. So that's completed. The other thing is we had a meeting today on regional dispatching. I'll just brief quickly. The state police is going to do away with regional dispatching, or they're Westminster for us. So we're trying to put together something for the Rutland County. So that's where we are now. The governor put together, or is earmarked $11 million. It's going to go over into a crossover. I'm not really familiar with that.
Crossover is when, well, it doesn't actually apply to, yeah.
Okay,
Anyway,
so-
crossover is, you got to get the bill from the House to the Senate and the Senate to the House by a deadline.
Okay. So yeah, we're waiting for that, where we got the wording on the grant application. They're talking about caps, how much each town or each regional dispatch center can put in for. They want more rather than less, right? I think Rutland County has 40 different agencies that they dispatch for, which is the most in the whole state. We handle, I don't know what year this is, but probably a couple of years, but they're looking at almost 12,000 calls for service in Rutland County alone. And that's not the biggest county, actually. So yeah, there's that. Hopefully we'll have something more on that. Probably a letter of intention for all the departments or different towns. When we get to that point, I'll probably forward it to you folks. What else I have? And then last Saturday we had an arrest at the Holiday Inn. It was a pretty serious domestic assault. Officer Placus went, and one of our town constable, Mike Dell, was monitoring his radio. Heard that that Officer Placus needed assistance. He went down there and was able to catch the person. And after much paperwork, and they were able to lodge the person, which is a novelty nowadays. We don't put people in jail very much. And they held him without bail as of Monday. So hopefully that works out well for the poor person that was involved as a victim there. So I have. Also, I've been talking to Bill a little bit about, him and I have spoken about the, he's like, what are we talking about the door lock systems here in the town, and we're over in the other places when we get the new public service building, is that right now Bill's the only point person on that. I guess there's other people we could probably get a hold of, but it makes sense that there should be two people running that thing in case something happens to one of them. So we have, it's redundancy. So we all like to think we'll live forever, but sometimes we don't. So I just would like to put it for the board. If you have any issues with Officer Placus is volunteered to jump on this. And so we have two people working the codes in the building.
Good idea.
Okay. I don't know if you want to make that a motion.
I'm. Go ahead.
I was gonna say so moved.
Okay.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on that? Officer Placus will be the second person involved with the door code locks and operation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
One other thing about our homeless situation down, or not homeless, but we're the housing the homeless. Again, the LIT program, the Life Intervention Team, we're having a really close relationship with them. Last year at this time, we're busy. We're still busy. But last year at this time, we had no knowledge of what was going on. It was a total chaos. There was no restrictions, nothing. I would like, I don't know if the board or our health officer could put something forward that, and I've spoken to the people in the LIT program, we need the back door of the Cortini. And if they want to house these people, that back door has got to be secured at night. We have a drug element in this county, and they're coming there at night, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, because that's when they do business, when it's dark out. They're coming in there and they're causing problems. And then they bring the drugs into that place, and then we're gonna have to deal with them. We're gonna have to deal with the people, dead bodies. It's gonna take a lot of man hours to figure all this stuff out with us or the state police. They need that back door secured. I get lip service from Mr. Anil Sukhdev, I believe his name is. I talked to him today. I mentioned to him, oh yeah, sure, we'll get it done. But
But they've been saying
this
this
has
for 6
been at
months,
least
8
4 or
months.
5 months that door's broke. He goes, I can't fix it. They keep breaking it. I said, put a metal door down there with a link on it. Something, put a jailhouse door if you have to. Fix the darn thing so they can't break it. So they have to go to the front door so they can control who comes in and out of that building. And this is something the LIT team has brought to my attention. It needs to happen. I brought it to their attention. And again, nothing's happening. So I guess you're okay to go after them, say, get it fixed one way or the other.
But JP, are you still on? Do you have a comment on that, or can you work with Frankie on that?
Yeah, Don, I'll be happy to follow up on that because it does fall into that jurisdiction.
Okay.
That's
Let's
all
see
I
if
have
we-
at this point in time.
I agree. We got to get that solved. I mean, that's a big problem. It's not an emergency exit, is it? Because
No, I mean, it can be an exit still. It's just, right now it's anybody can come in there. They want, they don't have, no one has to see them. The
Well, they
cameras
propped
aren't
the door
working.
open.
The doors, it's useless. It's
Right. I mean,
It's broken.
because, yeah,
So it's an open house. You can walk in and out anytime they want, and this is what they do. So.
What,
Oh,
you know,
fix it.
Ed, something that might help with that is that door needs to be an exit only. And I think that one of the things we need to require on it, that it's an alarm door like they have in stores. So if the folks inside want the folks outside to be inside, when they open the door, it's going to alarm. Either it's got to go maybe to a third party or something, so that, somebody's got to know that door is going to be open, because, you can't sell drugs unless there's somebody who wants to buy them. So there's probably inside and outside activity there that's causing your problem.
Correct.
Yep. Okay. You got your authorization, JP. Go for it.
All right,
That's all I
thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay.
Our planning commission director, Barbara Noise Pulling. I want to get their name straight, Barbara. Good evening. Thanks for your patience.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of things. Wanted to follow up on the stormwater issue, the design issue at Windmere. Just to review that a little bit and maybe bring Kurt up to speed a little bit. It's for our MS4 state permit. Been working with Andres Teriso on that MS4 and on this particular grant to design one of the projects that was prioritized in a plan for projects in that watershed to get it unimpaired, hopefully. So the progress that we've made, the Homeowners Association will sign off on going ahead with the project. It's been long delayed. There was a deer yard issue and some other issues. We had to get one extension and now we're right up against the last extension. It was supposed to be a full 100% design. We had to cut that back, excuse me, to 30%. And now we can do that, it sounds like, with a letter from the Homeowners Association and from the Select Board here.
They delivered the letter today. It's on your desks. It's number 7. on your
Great,
desk.
great. We'll have to change just a little bit at the bottom with the new Select Board chair. Change the name there. But with that, we can go ahead and, if you want, apply for additional funding to get the full 100% design done in another round of funding. So with the letter there, I don't know if it's at your desk. It could, we have until the end of the month to wrap up this project. So we can get it signed. You can talk about it this evening, or we could potentially do it at the next meeting, but we'll really be wrapping everything up at that point.
I want to ask for Mary Ashcroft's advice on this.
I was just going to say,
I don't have a problem with you
going to
signing.
move it. No, it shouldn't be me, but you can, you can take a pen and you can cross out my name and you can print in your name. So I would move that the Select Board sign the letter of intent and that we authorize Don Chaffee as chair to sign on behalf.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded that we sign the letter. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. And I shall do that.
Bill, get some of that tape sticky stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The whiteout. Yeah. Okay, good.
Whatever it takes. So thank you. Thank you very much. And Andres couldn't make it this evening, but he will be coming to, I think maybe the next meeting to give his final report for the truncated design that was done. The only other thing I had this evening was about the pocket park down at Center Rutland Falls. We had the public meeting on March 3rd, got some good suggestions there. And then I brought those to the Town Planning Commission, and they thought they could, those new suggestions could easily be incorporated into the 15 that had percolated to the top already. So that's another grant from the state, another agency. And so that one is wrapping up in a couple of months. So I need to bundle all this information up for you. And I was thinking of doing a new map with all of the new suggestions. There'll be about 20 now. And maybe proposing that we get an estimate from an engineer for, a complete design, what it would cost. And then I could pull together some grant ideas for you where we might go for looking for some funding. And then maybe another part of the process would be starting to line up some volunteers to start thinking about what projects they might be interested in and getting the park underway. So just wanted to throw those out, see how you felt about those. And if you want me to proceed along those lines, I'll be glad to.
Mary?
So a question, Barbara, when is the select board going to see the planning commission's final recommendation? Because that's kind of what we were waiting for.
Okay, yeah, I was going to do it all in one bundle, but I can, what would you like to see?
Well, I want to see what your recommendations are. You've gathered all of the information. What are you going to recommend? And then at that point, if there's a request, and I think there would be, we go the next step and we authorize somebody like Robert Clark to do the design for us based upon what the select board approves as the final. But we haven't seen it yet officially.
Okay, yeah, so I can go back to the Regional Planning Commission. We can update the map. And then I can do a presentation for you with the map and with a list of ideas.
Okay. Good, thank you.
And maybe the next meeting, I'll try to do it for your next meeting, but it might take until the second meeting away, 2 meetings from now.
Sounds like a plan, Barbara.
Okay. Okay, yeah. It's been an exciting process. We've gotten quite a bit of feedback and a fair amount of excitement about this park.
Good. Is that it?
That's all I have.
Thanks, Barb.
Thank you very much, Barbara.
Okay. Thank you.
Larry Delvenary, Transfer Station Manager. Back. Seconds.
Okay. My second dumpster up there for the compactor is in need of some work. You got it in your packet there?
Yeah.
Okay. We got a price for fixing this, the old compactor. The old compactors are bin, I should say, is going on 30 years old. It's not as bad as the last one, nowhere near it. So what they're telling me, they can fix this. It needs rails on the bottom. It needs work in the floor, but they can weld that. I'm not a welder. I was going to ask Joey DiNardo to come on up and give me a second opinion.
Oh yeah, I'm certified.
Certified.
Yeah.
Certifiable.
So, so that's the way I would like to go, is get this one fixed.
Mhm.
And the reason is the new one's going to cost me $9,000 for a new one. And right now I have $7,446 in my depreciation. So not quite enough to buy a new one, but if I can get 2 or 3 more years out of this one, I'll have way more than enough money to get a new one when it's
What is it
needed.
gonna cost you to fix this?
$3,000. That's right there.
Yeah, it's 3.
I would move that we authorize the transfer station director to go ahead and repair the container, which needs new rails and patching floor holes for an amount not to exceed $3,000.
Second that.
Again, I'd like to get a second
Motion made
opinion on
and
this.
seconded by Kurt to not to exceed $3,000 to fix the container,
Yep.
and seconded. So discussion.
Yes, I would like to get a second opinion because I'm not a welder. I don't know that much about steel.
Larry,
Right now, I'm taking one
do
person.
You do what you need to do. Yep.
Yeah,
Go,
Larry?
Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry, who did you get the $3,000 price from?
Hubbard Brothers.
Hubbard Brothers? Okay,
Yes.
my suggestion would be to call Earl's Truck Repair and talk to Jim and have him come up, because, you know, Jim did all the railings and stuff up there for you.
Yeah.
And I would have them, you know, come up and take a look at that. They would be a little better. I mean, I can weld and I can fix it, but they would be better qualified to, you know, give you an idea of the cost, and, you know, they do good work and stuff. So that would be my suggestion. Just get a price from them and see where we are.
I will do. Thank you.
What was the name again?
Earls.
Earl, Jim Earl, Earl's
Jim
Truck
Earl.
Repair.
Okay.
Yeah, he's done
okay.
work for us before.
They done work. Second item that I have is this has to do with the fire department too.
Oh, wait a minute. We're not done with the first item.
There you are.
Yeah, we didn't take a vote.
We got a vote.
We have a motion and a second. And is there any further discussion on that?
Only that since it's under 5,000, a couple of quotes will do it and you go with the one who's better that you're confident with.
Okay,
I think that's the way I would interpret it, the purchasing
thank you.
policy. So
Thanks for clarifying that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you gotta go on that.
Okay, brother, thank you. We've been working with Joe Dixon. We've having trouble with our portable radios talking around town and stuff like that. The strings just aren't long enough. So he's come up and we put a repeater up there at the transfer station, and we went around town a couple weeks ago and we're talking crystal clear. We can hear one another. He's telling me we can go all the way down to Manchester and talk. But
Wow.
so what I need is permission, once we get this repeater going, to put it up at the transfer station. It would be mounted to the building. All it is an antenna.
So I move
don't
that
know.
we put an antenna up at the transfer station
There you go.
for the repeaters.
Motion to install the repeater.
I'll second it because I got the next question.
You're getting testy
Motion's
here.
made and seconded. Discussion.
How much? What will it cost us, if anything?
To put it up there?
Yeah.
Ain't gonna cost you nothing.
Okay.
He's gonna put it up there.
No, Joe's gonna put it up.
How much does the equipment cost?
Yeah.
We haven't gone that far yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't know what cost.
Okay. So the motion might be a little bit
Premature?
premature because if we don't know the cost, I'm just suggesting that.
My only other thing would, because I'm a member of Clarendon Fire Department, we have a fire ground repeater, and you just have to make sure when you do get a repeater system that you discuss the operation of it, because we have issues when you're, say, working inside a building, because your radio tends to not want to talk out of the building to the repeater, then from the repeater back to another radio in the building. So you just have to make sure you clarify some of that before you get into repeater systems. They can be a little confusing sometimes.
Joe, who does this for work with Green Mountain Power, he's done it all for nothing for us, putting this thing together. And like I said, they went around testing a couple weeks ago and it worked slick. And believe it or not, the transfer station is probably one of the highest parts of the town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
that
it
would
is.
make
It
sense.
is.
So,
In case, for those people out in virtual land, Joe Dickton, of course, was a former member of the board and former chairman of our board. And I'm sure that he would treat the town very generously. So, and
when we get more information, we'll come back to the board. But I just wanted to start the ball rolling on this.
what is it the cost that we were not sure of, Mary? I mean, the repeater itself or? 'cause
I have no, I don't know. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean,
we
if
put the
we,
repeater up and then what's the next step, Chris?
Antenna, we need to reprogram all our radios.
And you said Dick was doing that part of it for free.
good,
Yeah, he did his part already.
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
he
so
just
the
said-
motion's still valid and because we're not incurring any costs.
I'm not, no, this is just so
So
when it's done.
it's for the concept of putting the antenna up
Yes.
there? Okay,
Yeah,
all right, as
that's
long
all
as,
it is.
subject to later, we'll talk about how much it's going
Right.
to cost, but the concept of putting it there is fine with me.
Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right?
Any opposed? 4-0. You got to go on that too.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Don't
Larry.
spend any money.
Mary, you're as bad as JP.
I'm trying.
Marty Wasserman, Town Emergency Management Director and Treasurer of the Senior Group
Representative to regional ambulance.
and representative to the Regional Ambulance. Would you like to add any more to
no,
your?
no,
Husband
no,
of Mary.
We may need a new tree warden.
Well, you got handout G, which just gives you a little bit of information. This is our yearly local emergency management plan that I have to file with the regional Rutland Regional Planning Commission, then does it, controls it for the state. And I have some questions. I will get this filled out and then give it back to you for your approval. But there's some changes. I think some of them I may have even answered myself, but with Bill, Walt, you're the acting road commissioner.
Time being, yes.
Okay, so for the time being, I'm going to put you down in that and I'll work with you and explain to you what that means. But one of the things that we have to do on the front page of this is there's 2 signatures required. One is printed name of the select board council member, which has been the chair. The other one is someone on this board needs to be certified or qualified in the incident command system. Either ICS 402, which is for municipal officers and such, or ECI 100, which is for people enacting. I don't know if you're still current with that or not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm current in ICS 100.
Okay, if you're current with ICS 100, then with gold, you'll sign for the board for that.
Okay.
So I will get this, I'll work on that to get that done by next meeting. So we have that, acting road commissioner, and the chair, I know. And I've brought this up and we haven't had an answer to this, and that is the Rutland Regional Emergency Management Committee. This is a new thing set up by the state. Regional Planning Commission is overseeing it for the county. And it's a voting board that each town has to have 2 voting members. And then there's other non-voting members, which we have listed as the police chief, the fire chief, everybody's listed in that. The EMD, Emergency Management Director, is one of the voting members. The second one has to be assigned by the Board of Selectmen. It's up to you who you would like to have that. You can either decide by yourselves, or I can give you some ideas.
Who's it been in the past?
We haven't had this in the past. This is all new.
Okay.
This is a whole new concept of the way the state did this, because we used to have a
Regional Emergency Management Committee. It was called something different, but we had the voting, the strict regulation of the voting members wasn't quite as regarded. It's who showed up at the meetings and stuff. And then the state came in with some liability issues, and the Regional Planning Commission, with just reason, said, whoa, we're not running this, because it put them in a libel issue. So that got all straightened out. So the state has redone this, but I have to have at least someone I can list as the second official voting member.
So wouldn't it make sense if Kurt is ICS approved for the signatory, that he also be the second member?
It could be.
Would it be best if the fire chief is the second member?
No.
No.
Asking. The reason, I mean, that's giving him another responsibility, and in a situation where this is, I know Billy rather be with the fire department than anywhere, but if we wind up with an emergency, and this also entails the Emergency Operations Center, which I've brought up a number of times and never gets handled. So Bill is the second emergency management person, EMC, Emergency Management Coordinator. He is our EMC in the town. So it would make sense to make him the second voting member, at least in my opinion. But whatever that's worth, in my opinion, I would
Well,
make him the
that's-
second voting
That's
member.
fine.
That's why we have you in this position, to make recommendations like that.
Thank you.
So
So do we have to vote on
I'm
that?
fine with that. Yeah, and I think we should vote on, and I think we should also
Did you
vote
just
on-
curse at me, Bill?
I would entertain a motion for both members. Well, for all three, I guess, because we need a select board, and you said the chair signs.
Well, that you don't need to vote on. That's.
Pardon
just-
me?
You just do it.
The signatories of the LEMP, you don't need to vote on. You're the chair,
Okay.
and he's got the ECI 100. They're the
It just
signatories.
doesn't say that on here, though. It just says select board council member. So-
Okay,
Oh,
so why
okay.
don't we, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I would move that we authorize the chair to sign, chair of the select board to sign, Kurt to sign as the member, and Bill to sign as the other member. Yeah. Okay.
You've heard the motion. Is there any,
Exquisitely
is there a
put, I
second?
must say.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on that? No opposition from either members who have been appointed,
They're not allowed to be heard.
thereby. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's a done deal,
Thank you.
and you have your members.
My other point that I want to bring up, and we don't need to do anything with it at this point because we haven't, but I'd like some committee that I can work with and work on this to bring it before the board again, is one of the things we have to assign when we do this local emergency management plan is the if there's an incident, if we have an emergency in town, the Emergency Operations Center. Years ago, it was decided on Station 2 at the firehouse. With lack of experience, I didn't realize some things and I didn't object to it then. I thought, oh, that makes sense. Two of the members of the Board of Selectmen wanted it there also because that's where they thought the action will be. But if there's that kind of emergency in our town, that we're having a major emergency where we're declaring an emergency in the state, I would say it's going to be bigger than just our town, but it's going to entail a lot of decision making. I'm not the person making decisions. If we declare an emergency, the person that makes the decisions, the ultimate decision makers in that are you folks, is the Board of Selectmen. You're the ultimate answers. So you would run with assistance the emergency. So you would have a fire chief or his designee that has to be at the Emergency Operations Center. You have the chief of police or his designee at the Emergency Operations Center. You have highway being represented there. All your nuts and bolts parts of the town, your town clerk and treasurer has to be involved when you're making decisions about spending money and calling someone in to do something, because you're going to be calling in outside agencies. You're going to have someone to work with the public. If you're going to have the press come in, you need a public information officer. Well, all these people need places to work where you as a group can be sitting by yourself with everybody else outside, but you want the police chief or his designee in, he comes in. He's going to need his area to be. The clerk has her area. And what's nice about this building is the clerk has everything she needs. The treasurer has everything she needs. The computers, the safe, everything is here. I don't know if this is what will happen, but I was told to probably happen when the new fire station is built or town emergency services building is built, that it'll be the one part of it's the fire station, the other is the police station. The police station is going to be moving out of here. Correct? Am I right assumption? So emergency management will have a place here. The administrative assistant has his office here. You have everything that you need to run an emergency operations system. It's been improved because we now have a generator. Okay, so this building, if there's a major thing where there's no power and stuff, this building still can operate. The only thing that I suggested we add, we have the telephone system here, is we add our radio system to be able to communicate if we need to, besides by phones. We have the fire frequencies and the police frequencies here in one room. That would be, in time of an emergency, would become your communications room, because those people want to be in a closed, quiet room. They need quiet. They need people to take messages and send those messages to the appropriate people that need to be gotten. When we did this and we made Center Rutland the Emergency Operations Center, I didn't think in terms of, okay, we have a major event here. Let's talk about the creep. Chittenden Reservoir Emergency Action Plan. Because I've been working on this in that committee for a couple of years now. If that dam breaches, what happens? How long we have before we see that water? We have some time, but we're going to be bringing in extra resources, such as I've already talked to other fire chiefs. We'll be going to bring in resources to help our fire department. Where are they going to go? Well, they'll come to Station 2. Some may go to Station 1, but it's going to take up more and more space in that building. So I bring that as a suggestion again, that I really feel that the Emergency Operations Center for the town of Rutland should be located in our town office, this building. So, and that's something that we need to list on this LEMP, local emergency management.
Which has to be filed by when?
Well, I'm not going to, it's got to be filed by May 1st, but it can always be changed. So I don't want to try holding you up with that as a thing. I'd like it changed to the town hall, but I'm not going to say, oh, it's got to be done by May 1st. It does not have to be. But I would, if you feel that you could go forth and do that now, it would be great. And I can do that when I do this whole plan up.
Well, what's the board feel? If you want to wait till the next meeting and think about it, or are you ready now?
A question.
No, go for it.
My question is, are we just talking about designating this as a center, or are we also committing money to put the communications center in here?
Well, we're at this point, you haven't committed to putting in radios. If we needed to, at this point, we could work from a couple of portables, I guess, especially if we get the repeater system up. If we don't have the repeater system up, we need really a base station radio here. Bill, do you happen to remember what that bid was? I got a bid that Bill had from Central Vermont Communications for doing the antenna work, a VHF radio, which is what the fire department uses, a UHF radio, which both police and fire both have, and also the additional, because there was something that we weren't sure was done, and that was the licensing, to have the proper licensing from the FCC. So in this bid proposal, he included it. If we need it, it's in that bid proposal. If we don't need to do it, take it out.
I want to say it was between 3,000 and 4,000 with the licensing.
Yeah.
If that was, but the licensing was like $1,000 by itself. So if we don't need it, that came out of it. But I think most of the expense could be covered by your line item in the budget.
Yeah, especially with the amount of money I use out of there.
It sounds like it's one of those public safety grant possibilities too.
I can look at even the VLCT one. I'm almost certain that we can't buy radios with it. I think radio communication was not was one of the excluded items, but I can look at it.
Be something to look into.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to eventually have the radios put in here
We could designate the building without
without the radios.
For now.
Oh, yeah, to start with.
But
All right.
one of the problems you have is, well, you know, you haven't moved the police department out, so that office isn't available. So you're going to have some other location for those radios, and then have to move them maybe at a later date. So right now, if the emergency occurs right off, that office, so we have to think about, timing on this. You can make the designation and we can all go there, but it's going to be difficult with everything in place.
Having the location, Joe, I think is more important than having enough room for the amount of staff that you'll need to really run an emergency operation is more important point than the two radios. The two radios will be important and should be done at some point. But the most important point is we can't have a whole bunch of people sitting at Station 2, the fire station, when the room there is being used for manpower for the fire department.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Marty. It's just that.
The question before us is, do we want to designate the town hall as the emergency center? Do we at this point?
All right, for the sake of, I'll move that we designate the town hall somewhere in here.
That's what I like, getting off the dime.
Well, it's the
here.
whole building.
The building
Is
itself.
there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Sharon. Any now further discussion?
And that's, I don't want to commit to the radio thing. at
I'm
this
not
point. This
asking
is
for that
just
at this point.
designated. This is, department heads, police and fire, is this an okay idea?
I wouldn't buy the radios yet, especially if they get the repeater. We gotta
Right.
program and get the licenses and all that.
This is where all the information will be. Kari's gonna be here. She needs her office there. To do
Yeah.
that.
Right.
I know there's gonna be, if it's emergency, there'll be a lot of FEMA paperwork. We're gonna have to be, it's good to get the word from her, what we need.
Yeah.
So the town can be reimbursed for that.
Yep.
See if it happens. And we have portables, Chris and I, we can talk to our people with a portable and our cell phones are set up on an emergency management, so we have access, even if no one else does, we should still be able to have access. Because of
Okay,
that.
radios later,
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
location now. Any further discussion on the location being here? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Town hall will be the emergency center, and speaking of emergencies, there are at least two board members that have a pending emergency, and I'm going to declare a 3-minute recess.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Because I got something else to bring.
I
I just want to get an approval again from another job that I have, and that's town planter.
What are we planting?
Flowers,
Okay.
like we
that's
have
fine.
in the past couple of years. I got my wife wonderfully volunteered to help me and teach me. And we've been doing the garden little by little. We keep expanding and
it looks wonderful.
we do something out front. So I just want to make sure I have an okay to do that again.
Who would stop you?
I don't know. Bill, if he doesn't give me the credit card, I mean, I have to say, I do have to comment on Home Depot as far as the fire station is concerned. My wife and I have been doing the plants there, and Home Depot has donated all the plants and bark mulch and anything I need, fertilizer
Really?
for those
Nice.
for those plants that we have at the fire station.
Thank you, Home Depot, for your tremendous support for the town of Rutland. We appreciate it.
So
Yeah,
that's all I have.
okay, Marty.
No, thank you.
Oh, did you
And
need a
thank you.
vote on that thing to give me money for
And
plants?
thank you and your wife for doing that, Marty. Seriously, that's.
Oh, you're welcome. It's our pleasure. Hopefully,
It
we'll
looks nice over
little by
there when
little,
you
we'll
do
get the
that.
monument done and we'll get the gardens
Are we almost
expanded.
done?
Yes, we are.
I'd like to go home.
Yeah, I know. Well, we've covered quite a. Bill Sweet,
Oh, gosh, I gotta turn this back up.
you have any action items that we need to vote on?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, well. my car will run
Tried to get
again.
as many of them out of the way as I could before I got here. Okay, so there's only two things left from the mailed packet. One was request just to include the final ruling on ARPA funds. So that's in there on what they were said and how to use them for projects. So that's in there. And the select board committee assignment sheet is just the blank template for this year. I do have one small request for that. If we could determine maybe a scholarship committee rather quickly. Last year, our due date for scholarships was April 23rd. So the due date this year is like April 22nd if we go the same way. So that leaves us a month to look at the application, approve an application, get them out and get them back. That's not a long time, especially if we wait 2 weeks to decide this. So
I would go on it with Mary if she's willing to, because we've.
I
done
was
it the
going
last
to
couple
appoint
years.
Mary to the scholarship committee because we.
Did it pretty
we've
well
been-
before.
We've been
Yeah.
on it for
Yeah.
years, but if you want to serve
Yeah.
it.
they were last
Love
year.
to have you on there.
Yeah.
So I
So
do.
there's your committee right there.
Thank you very much. I do have the application we used last year and I changed the date for this year,
Perfect.
but I have it. So if you want to take it with you, if you want to look at it.
No, did you
What?
coordinate it with when school vacation is in April?
I just changed it to April 22nd, which was the Friday that we had to do last year. So.
Okay,
I did
we should
I will look at that.
avoid having it that vacation
on the
week.
school vacation week.
Yeah.
So I will look at that. And if the week is, if it's that week, I will change it. Do you want to go 1 week before, 1 week after?
1 week after.
Okay. So if it's not that week,
Gives
we'll
the
leave it as that week.
Guidance counselors, the ability to pound on kids to get their applications
I
in,
think-
and parents too.
So where's that
I-
ARPA thing, Bill? I don't.
It's
see
in, it was in your mailed packet. It's letter H.
Oh, is this the one that we signed?
No, you don't need to. That's just
It's an
information.
Oh,
It's just an FYI thing.
okay, well,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew
It's
that.
just a free
I knew
information thing.
that date was there.
Okay. I think vacation is the week before. I'm trying to find it, but I don't see it right here.
Okay,
But I think school vacation is the week of the 11th through the 15th. So that should work out well. That's it. So I will we'll take care of
Quick question,
Yeah,
quick
yeah.
question on the ARPA thing. though.
Yeah.
There's no date that comes before the April 1st date.
No, there isn't.
The April 30th.
This came from VLCT. It was a summary. They've been a very good resource for information on it. So this came from them and it does give some recommendations and some guidance, but yeah, the April 1st date is what it talks about in here. It talks about reporting and treasury and whatnot. So,
Okay,
but
good.
yeah, that's okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then then the select board is the committee assignments. And then there was so much information that came in afterwards. It was crazy. So that's why you have the extra stuff on your desk, which we got through several things.
That's why it's 9:15.
Yeah, I know.
I know,
I'm
I wanna
trying.
go home.
So one of them, it is fairly important. We have the grant agreement for the post road sidewalk that just came in. So it's there. That's number 4. Maybe, Dawn, it may be in the pink folder there.
Oh,
Just the one that's got the
There's all,
signature
there's
block.
copies of it all around there.
it's
Oh, no, that's
probably
right
the
there.
original
That's it.
here, Don.
That's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but. So can you give us, well, sorry.
It's just, it's like all the other grant agreements we had before. It just is, this one specific to the post road sidewalk. That ties into the rather substantial document sitting on the desk there, which is the contract from Otter Creek Engineering for the work on the post road water line extension, which we did want to do simultaneously if possible.
So we weren't digging up a new sidewalk.
Right.
Right. Make,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
how much are we getting? And
It's like second or third page. There's a some, I don't have it. Oh, I do have it here. Jeez. What do we do? Grant award is $48,250.
and the match is 50% then.
Yes, 50% match, which can be in-kind work. So
Okay.
we talked about that. Any of our labor, any of our contribution gets contributed dollar for dollar.
Okay. Straight to Western to Rutlandtown. Okay, all right. So this would go from the school to Chisana Drive along Post Road. And then this would pick up the mic thing.
Yeah, it would.
Shared use.
That was our plan.
Yep.
Okay. So I move we approve the Post Road sidewalk agreement. I believe our 50% match, which can include in-kind services. I think we have money in the highway budget for it, if I'm
I think so.
remembering correctly, and we should have enough carryover too.
I think so.
Okay,
That was a motion.
that was a motion.
Joe,
I'll second the motion.
Okay,
Second by Joe. Any discussion?
yeah, we're gonna have to change the contact information because Byron's still there, so.
Sure.
Yeah,
If on this grant agreement, if you turn to page 6 of 17, okay? And it says total funds available to grantee federal is 0, state is 48,250 and local is 48,250. This sounds like the total project is 96,000 and we're kicking in 48,000. Does everybody understand that?
yep,
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
Grant, yeah, we get back, we get back what we put into it. So.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, what we're putting into it. One thing I
does
would
not
want
have to be all cash
It's
money.
up
Oh,
to
it can be
48.
income.
Yeah,
Be income.
it's either cash contribution or
Right.
labor materials, yes.
And we know how valuable our labor is, so
Right.
it's probably gonna be about 30.
Well, they allow you to expend your labor at the going rates. The one thing I would just keep in mind as a board, we keep talking about highway carryover and, we might spend a little here and we've got to cover some overages on the town line road culvert replacement because we don't have quite enough there. So we want to just be careful of how much we keep talking about here and what is actually available. Just something for everybody to keep in the back of your mind.
I think this would be in the next fiscal year anyway, I think, by the time we expended it for this. It's
Yeah,
close.
and I looked at that budget, Mary, and I don't see as we budgeted any money for the Post Road sidewalk project. But anyway, but there's just something for everybody to keep in mind because this thing has been going on. I believe I was still fire chief, so I am so glad to see it being happening, and I'm ready for the vote, Don, anytime you are.
Well, I'm more than ready. So if there's no more discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? No, none opposed. That's a go.
Oh, so do we need to authorize Don to sign on behalf
Yeah,
of the
it's-
board?
it's like-
So moved.
Signature.
Second.
I thought that was part of the motion, yeah.
Here.
All those in favor of me signing this?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So it does say the award date is February 1st through, February 1st, 2022 through January 31st, 2024.
Wow,
So we do
okay.
have,
Good.
we
good,
have
good.
this year and this, we have 2 calendar years to
Yep.
do it. So, all right, excellent. Thank you. The next thing on your desk is number 5. It was a reply from one of the property owners that we sent the letter to about overage in sewer discharge. It's number 5 on your desk.
Yep.
And they wrote back to us on the application page.
So Bill, whose fault would it be if the sewer line is freezing?
The property owners.
So
We don't.
they
we're
need
not
to either, they need to get the sewer line excavated and either, well, they can't lower it because obviously it won't flow unless it's a pump system. And they need to get the trench insulated with some styrofoam and eliminate the problem. I don't see where that's our problem, that they have to run the water day and night to keep it from freezing.
Yes, I agree. And I did look at the ordinance and there really is no consideration in it for this scenario. But, theirs was one of the ones that's, 109 is not a little number, but it wasn't sort of one of the biggest ones. But again, that is, I'm sorry, they were only over 19, which is, $95 for what they're trying to do. So, to bring them up to compliance with the ordinance. So, there's nothing in the ordinance that says this is an allowable, exemption.
Yeah. It's actually less expensive for them if they paid us the $95, it's probably less expensive than digging the sewer line up and properly insulating it and stopping it from freezing. But that's what's the problem. It's too close to the surface, or else it doesn't have the proper pitch and it wasn't installed right.
Yeah. So I'm just looking for how would you like me to follow up with them?
Did they pay the application fee?
No.
Well, okay, tell them if they pay the application fee, we'll bring it before the select board for a vote for their increased gallonage.
I'm guessing by their reply is they object to paying the application fee,
Well,
but that's why.
Then have them come in and talk to
Money
them.
unless they apply for it.
Right.
Cost
So
benefit analysis.
Which building on Sewer Road is this, Bill?
it's Woolnick. It's above the credit union on the right hand side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's they own the waffle cabin and there's a couple things in there, but yeah, it's the only one in there that has an issue, I guess.
And somebody else was in there before them, right?
It was, yes. I don't remember who it was, but yes, they're not, they haven't been there. They've been in there a long time, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious because, I don't recall this being an issue before with the previous owners or previous people. I'm wondering if they've got a problem with their sewer line and they need to get it fixed.
Well, keep in mind, we haven't been paying attention to this for a while.
Yeah.
Most.
Well,
most
okay.
sewer
That's
lines
that
don't
too.
I started down this rabbit hole about 3 years ago. So this isn't something we've been.
Don't
on top of.
explain.
Yeah, I don't know. Not right now. Not right now.
No.
What have I
Come to
told
water
you?
sewer meeting. We'll
Save
talk
it
all
this hour.
about it.
What have I told you, Bill, for 6 years?
I know.
This
I
is
did my
the
best.
number one topic is water and sewer.
I did my best.
Yeah.
So how do we want to follow up with them? Just send them a letter
Invite
saying,
him to send the fee in and we will process his application for
Okay.
the overage.
I will communicate that as best I can.
And what I also suggest is to tell them that the reason it's what I just said, the reason it's freezing, there is something wrong with the system, their sewer line, and they probably need to get it excavated and corrected. That would solve, and then they can save the $500 to have it thawed out. and possibly get back to their 90 gallon a day allocation and not have to pay us the $95. But there's something wrong with that system if it's freezing, and they need to get that addressed before they do anything.
Agreed. All right, so I will see what I can do about that. I'll see what I can do about that. Two things for well, I guess we'll do the last one here. Number 6, Jim Manley, we had gotten a price from to replace the galvanized water line downstairs. It's been months and months, and I can't get a hold of him. So I was asked to go and get a second quote, which I did from Mclaughlin Plumbing, and they gave it to us the other day. And
I would move to accept that quote to have that water line replaced.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to replace the water line. The quote is $1,387. Made and seconded. Discussion.
We've
No.
got something.
You remember, Don, you and I talked to Bill about this last April or May. and we approved it then, and it still hasn't been done. So I think it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, 4-0. You got to go on that one.
I'll take care of that. Thank you. Tomorrow morning, Robert Clark and Ron Fabian are going to be here to sign Ron will be here to sign the contract for the Town Line Road culvert. He hasn't made it back yet. So we're going to do that tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. They'll both be here, so we can take care of that and move and get that going.
Bill, we're gonna have.
We signed it.
We're
good.
good. Okay.
And I called them the next day, and they just haven't
Okay.
gotten back
I
yet.
had signed it when I was chair.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
So, yeah. So they're going to be wrapping up their end. I think we're okay. on
Yeah,
it,
it's
not
just
needing
Ron
you to
Fabian
sign
needs to sign it, and then they need to get going. So
All
so
right.
but they're also it's just a formality. And then like I said, on the desk there is the contract from Otter Creek Engineering. I printed one copy because it's 200 pages. So if y'all want copies, I can email them to you. But it's a contract for Otter Creek Engineering to do the work, the lion's share of the work for doing the bids and everything like that for the Post Road water line extension.
So what do we need for custodial on that document? I mean,
I put a note on the front there with his, he says, if we approve this tonight, we can put it in the paper next week. We can do pre-bid meeting in a couple weeks, and we can get bids back like shortly after that. So if we want to do it tonight, I know none of you have had a chance to look at it, but that's what we got. That is based upon everything we've talked about going up till now. Yep.
Speed reading, Don, just
Backwards even. That was really
Yep.
good. Yeah.
A lot.
what's your pleasure, board?
How much is it for? Can we tell?
I'm sure we could. That came in late, and
Okay, this would be from the water sewer fund.
Yes.
This is the water fund.
it's the water. It'd be the water fund. Yeah.
This is the Post Road water
Yep.
line extension that we've been discussing. This is for the getting two different bids. As
Yes.
I recall, Water Sewer Committee did go over this with Robert
Yep.
a number of times. We've had a number of meetings.
And I have had interest from one of the residents farther up the road who has been very interested in having this reach his house.
So, and this, I'll just jump in and move that we approve the engineering services of Otter Creek for the water line extension up Post Road to be paid out of the water fund.
And you've already
Second.
signed the original, right? You
No,
said-
that is it.
This is it?
That's it.
Oh, I didn't see.
Oh, and
this.
authorize Don to sign on behalf of the town, because in case there's any problem.
John, if you want to set it aside, we'll
Yeah,
we'll find
I
the
can say I read it. 'cause I
we'll find the line here in a second. If you want to set aside, we'll find the line in a second.
Yeah.
We'll be done.
Okay.
And the last thing, after 3 emails and 4 phone calls, Gallup Marble finally called me back, and they're working on getting me some nameplates for you to look at and approve. So they don't know why they didn't get back to me. So that's everything I got. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Beautiful. Wonderful, Bill. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
What?
John Paul, you still awake up there?
Were
Yeah,
we
he's
gonna do
next.
anything on this contract or are we letting
Yeah,
it
we're,
go? Next meeting?
have to?
did we vote?
No, I don't
think we
voted
Oh, Mary moved to approve it, and I don't think you did anything with it.
Oh, did we get a
I
second?
second it.
it. Yeah,
Joey
seconded it.
Is there any discussion?
Think we
The only discussion would be, does this allow for the additional person that wants to hook on that Bill just mentioned?
Yeah, I think, yeah, so we had put it in there to have it in 2 stages, one for like one bid for the first half up to Susanna Drive, and then additional for Susanna up to 1401 Post Road.
Which includes.
Okay, because
That's the last house.
the key thing to this is let's get this thing done and in the ground so that when we build a sidewalk, we don't, we know we got a couple of years on the sidewalk, but I'd really like to see that sidewalk get done and get that off the board up there on the wall. So just as long as we're moving in an orderly fashion and not put the sidewalk in and then dig it up to put a water line under it.
We will as soon as you vote. All
We all
those in
agree.
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's a done. We'll
Right.
find the
Yes,
signature
we will.
and we'll sign
Yes,
it.
Thank you.
And JP, you're up as Town Health Officer.
So I just wanted to bring the Board of Health kind of up to speed as to what I see where we're going with the pandemic type issues. It's probably going to be something we're going to be dealing with on an annual basis. And the more the vaccines are perfected, the less severe the symptoms. But I think some of the health officials are starting to whisper about the fact that we're probably going to be living with this type of situation in one form or another for the foreseeable future. Now, the presentation earlier about using the town office, I understood that to be the town office is going to be used as a distribution center. Is that right?
Oh, the town office
Yeah.
in an emergency situation.
No,
No, the
Oh,
meeting
you're talking about the state.
Yeah,
That would be downstairs in the downstairs area, JP.
But they're going to be distributing tests. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, antigen test.
Right. So my concern would be that people that are seeking those tests have a reason for that. Many of them will probably have symptoms. And if they conduct the handing out of those test kits the same way they did up on Route 4, that is, people drive by, the person hands it through the car window, and then the person drives off. Well, I don't have a concern, but I do have a concern if we're going to be inviting into the building people that are seeking testing for a situation that we know could spread by air. I'm concerned about the town office employees, so I would just ask the board to think about that as they go forward with how they actually conduct the procedure of handing out those tests. I don't think it should be inside the building.
That's a good consideration, and I think what we should do is probably check with some other jurisdictions to see if they're doing the same, JP.
Well, I think we can mandate the procedure that we feel is safest for our employees if they're going to use our facility.
Right.
So that's all I have for the board.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I don't think there's anything more. I got those letter of intents done.
Highway committee minutes.
Haven't. Committee meeting updates, well, we don't, there's none scheduled,
The only one we've had was the highway committee,
right?
but yes.
And the scholarship committee now
Yes.
they'll be meeting ASAP. And a project list is there, so that's pretty much it. Is
Just
there any?
one point, Don, before you adjourn, just one point about the highway committee meeting we had. And we got some clarification on the road plowing and the contractors. Walt keeps very good records. We have exhausted our 43 call outs and the pre-approved pay for the highway crews that are out, or contractors that are out there, and all additional call outs are going to be billed at $54 per mile. Byron attended the meeting and he helped us with that and explained it to us. So Walt will be overseeing that, but because of the unique nature of this winter and these stupid little storms and ice, we have gone past the 43 call outs. So we are into the extra innings, I guess is how I'd put it. But otherwise, we covered everything else on that committee meeting.
We're into the pray for sunshine moment right now. Thank you, Joe. Is there any further business to come before the board this evening?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.